the 14-sided dice Ju Ryonggu has appeared. It spoke up, looking satisfied with its seat. You can sleep as much as you want, however, there is one condition, which is playing games and drinking alcohol. Seo Ju-hyun, as expected, this is a test from someone else. It praises you, you are indeed sharp, only an excellent game player will be recognized as my master and obeyed. This banquet is also to test whether you are those people or not, so you can guess, good intuition. Come on, whoever gets drunk first loses. If I lose, I will recognize you as my master. If you lose, I will soak you in wine. If you came here without permission just to waste my wine, you will pay the price. He was a little angry, but he had revealed his true nature. Yu Jae-ha glanced at him and asked, Captain, isn't this dangerous? This kind of bet, do we really have to play? He quickly replied, don't worry, it's not like there's no chance of winning, just change the rules a little to make it fair. He spoke up, alright, the holy relic, to make the bet more suitable, we also have a few requests. He continued, the game is inherently about going in circles to be correct and at no time should one teach how to play. It also agreed, okay, just that much. He was also very satisfied, okay, indeed a reasonable guy. Then the banquet officially begins. The errand servants were also called in to fill the empty seats and the banquet began. Like all the holy relics, this one was also full of confidence. However, he would not know that recently drinking games are not only about luck but also require many other things. Judgment, reflexes, memory, these things become more and more scattered as alcohol enters, regardless of the betting strategy winning or losing from the first round. As the first match worth testing my rules, I will mobilize the most combative drinking games I know. From the dark forest a voice rang out, I won. Lee Seola walked over to check, confused, what is it? Seo Ju-hoon and Yu Jae-ha were so drunk that they were lying on the ground. She asked them, how did it turn out like this? What makes the crypt shake and then fall silent? Why is it in the middle of the road? Seo Ju-hoon drunkenly replied, I said I won, probably the reaction of the tomb when the winner and loser were clearly divided. He took out the wooden dice, looked, it was the holy relic owner of the crypt. He cried, I lost? Huh, drunk. Lee Seola asked, that's great, so now close the crypt and come out, right? He was stunned but still tried to reply, well that's true but why can't I walk straight? He continued, in the collection of miscellaneous items, although they were redundant but it would be a waste to throw them away, there were also a few holy relics that could cure drunkenness, could you help me find them? She replied, I know, but where is it you have to show me? But he just said he was sleepy which made her angry. The holy relic in the middle of the lake emitted a bright light again. The surrounding river water also rose violently. Very quickly there was an explosion in it. The crypt is gone, they're really out. The passengers whose lives he saved came up to thank him, really thanked him very much. But Yu Jae-ha realized another problem, but what to do now? It seemed like no cars passed by in such a remote place. He picked up the phone to check the situation, the phone was still connected, just call the rescue team. He continued, the problem is we have nothing to go for either. Lee Seola suggested, then how about getting help with those people? She added, it's better to go back to the accommodation first and get organized, then continue. Seo Ju-hyun glanced at Louis Martin, if possible I want to fly straight to the corner 5th floor? Louis Martin looked at him in confusion, what, why are you glancing like that? He said, just get as close to the city as possible and leave, and there's no need to make any major adjustments. Suddenly a series of cars with lights appeared in front of them. They looked ahead puzzled. What are those cars? They were very happy, it seemed like a rescue team, so fast, there were also many cars. But this seems dangerous, no, just about to call the rescue team, what are these cars? A car has stopped, what is it? The car door also opened quickly. A series of soldiers from the cars quickly ran down. They all pointed their guns at everyone, don't move. The system screen displays a message, the enemy's holy relic has set up a barrier, the system's holy relic cannot be used at this time, escape. Using the holy relic, preparing to attack? They kept pointing their guns at this side, clearly not the rescue team, even so it didn't look like Pandora. He asked, what are you guys? One of them angrily shouted, I told you not to move. He calmly replied, I didn't move. A guy came from behind, even if he knew who we were it didn't matter anymore, Seo Ju-hyun. He threatened, because this will be your burial place anyway, if you surrender obediently I will let you go without pain. Then soldiers appeared one after another in great numbers. He kept saying, we know a lot about you. The crypt summoned by the faithful king was a normal mid-level crypt of luck, even the free meals and wine were wiped clean. However, there was a problem here, suddenly being surrounded by these soldiers. He spoke up and said, give it up, Seo Ju-hyun, we know your weakness like the back of our hands. Yu Jae-ha asked fearfully, what are these guys? Seo Juhian replied, I don't know, they look like American soldiers. Seo Juhian said, you guys, looking at the weapons that look like American military, suddenly point your guns at innocent people here. Is that acceptable? They said, your existence is a crime, especially in this case. Except for innocent civilians, of course. Now, these hostages, follow the instructions and go in one direction. Seo Juhian angrily said, hostage, watch your words. Those are the people I saved. He laughed and said, you saved people, even a passing dog would laugh. He continued, mean, what, okay, let everyone go on one side. Then he turned and said, we will go there now. Lee Seola was also startled by his words and glanced over. Seo Juhian told everyone, don't worry, they won't hurt you. Everyone replied, really sorry, only we are allowed out. He was happy, no need to think like that. He thought to himself, just everyone stay out of the way. I will make sure those guys' parents don't recognize them. Taking advantage of the moment when the passengers were leaving, Gildal would disguise himself and sneak in. It would be a miracle if he wasn't discovered, but even so. As the passengers disembark and facilitate the fight, Gildal will draw their attention and create an opportunity. At this moment a soldier suddenly saw Gildal. For example, the soldier spoke up, wait on the other side. Right now, Gildal immediately used his power to attack that soldier, making them very surprised and cry out miserably. Devil, it's a devil. Where was this? It's the holy relic. Seo Juhian was now ready to fight. Come on, everyone use the holy relic. Take out everything you have. Ujeha suddenly asked, I'm fighting too. He replied, is there anywhere to escape here? Use Salieri. He started yelling, those things. Seo Juhian pulled out his sword and said, what are you saying? Then Seo Juhian rushed forward and killed many soldiers. They quickly pulled out their guns, over there, and fired. Seo Juhian starts using the holy relic, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, appear Hammurabi. What a hassle, he said. Aegis is best suited for both offense and defense, but it can't be used to stop nuclear bombs at the same time. Anyway, Hammurabi, spin those bullets. You'll be lucky to get one or two. The soldiers were scared and said, what? Why are the bullets going back? Lee Seola said, you have enemies on this side too. Salieri was called out and said, these guests are really noisy and uneducated. How can they perform in this environment? Ujeha said, don't mind it, do anything, please. He continued, haven't you heard the saying that an artisan is indistinguishable from time to time? Salieri said, probably Dogurul. But I mostly know what you mean. It seems reasonable. If so, then let the show begin. Seo Juhian smiled as he saw the heated battle. Everyone is doing well. So should we make a decision now? He shouted, no, stop it, hit it. That guy's weakness, use that. The holy relic of temptation collection. Seo Juhian saw it and his eyes widened and he was motionless. Many beauties started to cling to him. He stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. He laughed loudly and smugly. How is it, no more spirit, right? He asked, what are you doing? He said, stop playing dumb. Your weakness is the temptation of the holy relic. I know it all. Seo Juhian replied, I was very scared when I heard you said you knew my weakness, but now, it's completely unnecessary. Then he immediately went to attack him, dying. He slowly advanced with the sword in hand, look at this. So it's using the holy relic for defense. What, just one more hit and it'll be over, right? He fearfully backed away, no, don't come here. He continued, however, before, you said you knew my weakness. Tell me everything you heard and where. He caught them all and shouted loudly, eyes looking straight ahead, hands raised. Ujeha was angry, I just want to kill them all. I won't let you guys off, really. Captain, is it still far? Seo Juhian replied, wait a little longer, why rush? Ujeha was hit in the heart and immediately replied, scared, what's there to be scared of? Who told you to be scared? No, those guys have a bit fierce gaze. He said, then there's no problem, just keep watching. I told him, you said you were getting information from here anyway. He was scared, yes, that's it. A regular holy relic, let me check. He's beaten up, yes, as long as you're happy. Seo Juhian opened it to see, let's see. He looked at it and smiled, there are a lot of confidential documents, seems good for me. Then suddenly he saw his image in it. The mandate to eliminate Seo Juhian, so this is it. Seola wondered who this document was. He said, well, let me read it all. The commissioner is John Smith, my picture is also posted, looks like a recent picture. However, the rest of the information is fake, family tree, education, occupation, all written for show. But the information about the matches is accurate. Which holy relic do we bring? What strategy do we mainly use? He thought to himself, even mentioning the holy relic Black Crow, this is something only a few people know. Seola said, hey, if the information about the match is correct, then this is also true. The holy relic fanatic loves the beautiful holy relic more. If it is the female form of the holy relic, it will be even more embroidered with flowers. There is a high possibility of using the male form of the holy relic. Seo Ju-hyun was surprised, what? At this moment the soldier spoke, that was the part, we fought based on that. He angrily replied, can you believe this, that's why you guys failed? Others wondered, then it can't be true? He replied, no, I do value the holy relic but, not that kind. Look at the real and virtual information mixed together. However, this real information is very valuable. The fake information is just added to fill the information. So that more people are confident that they can fight and eliminate us. Who did this? Someone who might know about the crows? Julian Miller? No, he wouldn't use such a devious method. Pandora? Possessing the King of Destiny, so these guys have some ability too. Ah, what is this? Yu Jae-ha asked curiously, there was a dog paw stamp. He was very surprised, a dog paw. He said, here it is, right next to the signature. Seeing it finally made him remember. There it was, knowing about crows and hating me. Names that could sign like this. 3 Egyptian puppies. These kids, they definitely caught it. Yu Jae-ha asked, were those Egyptian dogs responsible? Seo Ju-hyun replied, most likely. He wondered, it couldn't be. Haven't they been listening to him lately? He said, listen to what the hell, those bastards ran away when I found their leader. Suddenly he remembered. Yes, everything will be clear if I summon them. Let's see, then he started using his power to summon. The system pops up a message board, you cannot summon the holy relic. They seem to have moved to a place where they cannot be summoned. They seem to have gone completely hidden. Seo Ju-hyun angrily said, these dogs, I can't call them up. They must have done something. Yu Jae-ha was surprised, right? That's betrayal. He was so angry that his face turned black. Let me find them. I will grind them to powder, all the way to the 5th floor. The other guys came to bring the cars. So let's take them. Seola asked, what should we do with these soldiers? Seo Ju-hyun replied, leave them alone. We have already confiscated their weapons and the holy relic. That is enough. We can give the remaining cars to the passengers so they can go home. He had a plan in mind, this is his chance. The chance to wipe you all out. Those cars were full of explosives. We can turn the tables by blowing you up. Waiting for the signal. No, not just turning the tables. This will be our resounding victory. He smiled triumphantly. Good, the subordinates all understood. People are walking towards the car. Just a moment. Just a moment. He had the detonator ready. Waiting for the right moment. At this moment Gildel's eyes suddenly lit up. Seo Ju-hyun's hand just touched the car door. The soldier thought to himself. Now, then he pressed the button to activate them. As expected, the bombs exploded in a huge explosion. The soldier was filled with joy, triumph and satisfaction. That's right, I sent them to heaven. Suddenly a hand was placed on his shoulder from behind. The person said, who goes to heaven? He turned around and said, startled. You're fine. What the hell? His subordinates began to tremble and worry. Oh no, we're done for. Seo Ju-hyun said, that dirty trick. I was wondering why you were so submissive. The soldier was still laughing, damn it. But at least I delayed you. Those cars are all blown up. We can only go on foot. He replied calmly. But I can totally fix it and move on. Then he said to Yu Jae-ha, hey, first slave. Use the holy relic to repair the car. The frame is already disassembled so you can do it right? Yu Jae-ha was surprised, huh? He yelled. Now you're telling me to go fix cars. I'm a maintenance shop. Seo Ju-hyun was angry. Why don't you just shut up and do as I say? Yu Jae-ha had no choice but to comply. I'll try. He turned back and continued. You help too, kid. Louis Martin shouted. Huh? Why should I help? Seo Ju-hyun said, a son who surpasses his father is a blessing to the family. He really is not filial at all. The holy relic pulled him away. Come on, come on. Let's go help our father. Let's go help our father. Louis Martin refused. Ah, let me go. What father? The father and son worked together to restore the car. They were a little confused at first because it was so different from what the holy relic maintained. But they got it fixed. We called in the rescue team to look for the passengers who had lost their way again. There were probably quite a few patients. I had a bit of a slip with the soldiers. The key is now inserted into the car and started successfully. The two repairmen were overjoyed. It was a success. The car was working. Oh my gosh, it was so hard. He smiled and said, "You guys fixed it. See, you need to save your ability. So we're leaving. Strong or not? Stupid." The leader soldier, despite being beaten up, still tried to say, "No. Even without you guys blocking the way, the Pentagon is going to be destroyed. You're not going to get what you want." He thought. It's going to be destroyed. He wondered. What happened there? The suspicion became reality when we arrived. Ciola pointed and said, "Boss, look. The cars are coming in the opposite direction." It became a convoy that filled the road. All civilians with frightened looks. And the silhouettes of several carts loaded with luggage. Seo Juhian thought, as if they were evacuating? There must be a problem. Ciola quickly checked the news and said. They said it was because of the boss's tomb. A tomb was formed on the Pentagon floor. Seo Juhian asked again. The catacombs, she replied. Wait. The news is on. Let me turn on the speaker. A giant catacomb has swallowed the Pentagon and national monuments. And it's even causing a stir in Washington, D.C. Pandora has classified this crypt as a disaster level. The highest level. Louis Martin is now awake. What's all the noise? Hey, where are we? Are we almost there? I fell asleep because I was so tired fixing the car. But they didn't tie me up. I must have been sleeping. Louis Martin thought to himself. Now's the time. Seo Juhian? How dare you insult me like that? I will curse you to death. At this moment, Ujeha suddenly walked in and asked. What are you trying to do? He held out a bare keychain and said. Looking for the holy relic? Louis Martin was surprised. Why is it with you? Ujeha laughed in response. I searched you while you were napping. Don't try anything else. Rope. You see. Tie him up quickly. The rope replied. Come here, come here. Louis Martin tried to scream. Let go of Dad. Don't you have any shame? Do you want to take his place when he tortured you like that? Ujeha shouted back. Every bite kills me. But I get paid to suffer. The two of them started arguing back and forth. Money is everything to you? You really know how to raise children. Oh, you're the only child here. You brat. Seo Juhian should speak up? Hey, be quiet in the back. He continued. How come the crypt is so big and we don't know about it? Seola replied. It seems like this crypt was formed not long ago. She asked. Don't you think the crypt appeared while we were in the tomb of the King of Fate? He said. That makes sense. So we don't know. Things are getting worse. Attacking the 5th floor is pretty tough. Suddenly the system appeared. The Great Crypt had appeared. This was the Desert Crypt. The Valley of the Kings had appeared. This was the Crypt of Wrath. One of the 7 great crypts. I was very surprised when I finished reading it. Just looking at it made me feel so big. Look at the desert and the Valley of the Kings. Wonder if there is a holy relic of another Egyptian god. Seo Juhian thought to himself, I might meet those Egyptian dogs again. Holy relics with the same culture often stick together. At this time, in front, there were many people setting up fences to protect and control people going in and out. More soldiers. I'm getting sick of them. Seo Juhian stopped the car and got out. The soldiers immediately spoke up. The area ahead was dangerous because of the catacombs. He replied, it was okay, we were the excavation team. The soldier continued, even so. We cannot let you pass. But. Why are you guys sitting in our military vehicle? Seo Juhian was startled. Damn. The car made them suspicious. Should I continue fighting? Why do I keep wasting my energy? At this moment, someone spoke up to reprimand him. "Stop, don't you know who this is?" Matthew Tyler rushed out. "It seems my subordinate was rude. You are SEO Ju Hyun, right?" He introduced himself. "I'm Matthew Tyler. I'll show you the way." CO Ju Hyun thought to himself. "Oh. Finally someone I can easily approach." At the 5th floor corner. The Dungeon of Anger. Anubis opened his mouth and laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha. Look at the crypt. Doesn't it look like a perfect fortress?" He continued. "It should be worth fighting Ju Hyun in this place. There were too many requests for expulsion. He was definitely going to be attacked fiercely. So he was definitely weakened by the time he got here." Lightning heard that and spoke. "Of course. That's how we catch that bastard. Wouldn't that be the result of crying and begging in someone else's grave?" Osiris yawned so hard that tears came to his eyes. "Others. We are all the holy relic of Egypt. We are colleagues. What's wrong with helping colleagues?" Anubis replied. "Though that was quite embarrassing. I am currently in an even more embarrassing situation. As soon as I found out the leader was coming, I ran away immediately. I was afraid that I would die if Ju Hyun made me the holy relic. But what happened? Rumors were already spreading everywhere. Everywhere I went, I was stared at and eventually caught by another leader. You know what they say? It's only a matter of time before you die. We were ordered that we could only live if we killed Ju Hyun with our own hands." Lightning was very indignant when he heard this. Who do they think they are to lecture us? Anubis wondered. But why? Wasn't it the right thing to do? I think we should think differently. That statement of Set made him doubt. How? After all, didn't Ju Hyun fight the leader and win? So we didn't need to run in the first place, right? Anubis nodded. Oh really? Lightning was annoyed. Oh really? Right? Osiris didn't care about those problems. Oh, what a bother. I just want to watch TV at Ju Hyun's house. Anubis looked disgusted. Is it because of the TV that you're like this? He smiled happily. I want some more chicken. The kind with sauce on it. Lightning agreed. Right. You humans make really good fried chicken. Anubis looked puzzled. What the hell are you guys talking about? It roared. Now was not the time for idle chit-chat. Suddenly he sniffed. There it was, Ju Hyun's scent. The end is finally here. Because Lightning and Osiris are in that situation. We will have to try our best. Well, he was attacked by humans. He was weak. So it was worth a try. We'll see. But when Ju Hyun's image entered its eyes, Anubis was stunned. He was completely fine. But I'm sure he was attacked. Or he just met weak people. Weaklings. Plus, I'm pretty sure I let the holy relic curse break the bond between him and the raven. But why is that link still there? You useless people. It doesn't do anything. Lightning scratched his neck absent-mindedly. Those guys were like that. Ju Hyun was quite strong. Anubis said determinedly. I can't give up like this. I will go into battle myself. You two stay here. With that, it disappeared like a gust of wind. Leaving Lightning and Osiris staring at each other in confusion. What else can we do? A vortex suddenly appeared in the sky where Ju Hyun was standing. He observed it and then curled the corner of his mouth. The man saw that and asked. Mr. Ju Hyun. What's wrong? He replied. No, I thought I saw something. What were we talking about? Oh, right. We were talking about cars. That's right. His army cars. But we didn't mean to steal it. Because you attacked us first. Ju Hyun continued. Since we were caught up in the battle and had nowhere else to go, we had to borrow his car. Actually, we didn't have a car to begin with. He replied. I see. I apologize for that. Honestly. We're in a mess right now with the situation at the south corner. There was some argument from the higher-ups, but then there was a loss of contact. Some units were trying to neutralize the excavation team in this area. Ju Hyun chuckled to himself when he heard that. The man's voice continued to ring out. However, we are trying to stop the spread and get things back on track. Instead of boycotting the foreign excavation team, we want to cooperate with them. The president also wants to open a professional discussion with the potential team. Ju Hyun, you can be among them. Follow me, I'll take you to see the president. Ju Hyun thought. The president? The car door was pushed open. A voice came from inside. What's going on? Ju Hyun replied. He said he would take us to see the president. Jae-ha looked surprised. Wow, the president of the United States. It seems that all the holy relics inside were swept away by the catacombs. They even sought help from foreign excavation teams. Ju Hyun continued. I knew they would make us do this and that. But I thought it was good to know more. So I listened to them for now. This is how things are now. His voice rang out. It was better not to leave the brat behind. The boy was confused when he heard that. Huh? What do you mean? Ju Hyun replied. It was obvious. It was a tomb itself now. You couldn't appear with us. It would only make them more suspicious to see you here with us. The boy protested. Even so. Not letting him finish, Ju Hyun raised his voice. Jae-ha, yes. Seeing Jae-ha's scary expression, the boy panicked and dodged. Oh no, don't kill me. Ju Hyun's voice rang out. Who said he would kill you? Put that kid in van goes the holy relic. Ah, I knew you would say that. Then Jae-ha raised the picture in his hand. Here kid, you won't be in danger while you're in here. So don't worry. Huh? What is it? The painting began to suck the boy in. Jae-ha smiled, but there was a lot of stuff in there. Be patient with the cramped space. The boy was getting too big. I don't want it. These bad people. As we got closer to the Pentagon, the scene was one of devastation. Everything was so destroyed by the catacombs that the original structure could not be seen. But after traveling for a while, their convoy was stopped in the middle of the road by a group of people. The leader stood with his arms crossed, looking extremely intimidating. The man in the car got out. What's going on? Why are you blocking the road? We are bringing guests to see the president. The other replied, the president has gone to an urgent meeting. I was sent to bring the guests straight to the conference room. From now on, I will take over. Seeing the commotion below, Ju Hyun also got out of the car. What's wrong? Why are we stopping? The other person spoke up. Hello Mr. Ju Hyun, I am the commander of the White House. Well, I will guide you from now on. Tyler yelled in annoyance. I had not received any such order for me to verify. Ju Hyun objected. Is that necessary? I just need a guide. I'll follow him, so let's stop here. Thank you for the hospitality. Hearing him say that, his expression became even uglier. Finally Tyler produced a card. At least take my work card. He smiled and said, I'm really interested in excavating tombs, so I hope to work with you one day. Ju Hyun smiled and turned away. Okay, I'll take it, but don't get your hopes up too much. Well then, goodbye. He walked closer to the car. Then he knocked on the door. Everyone, come out, we're going to walk from now on. There's a new guide who will be leading us. The car door slowly opened. Seola got off first. She wondered, why did they have to change the guide, was the new one more reliable? Ju Hyun said, don't worry. He seems like a trustworthy bastard. He will obediently lead us like a dog. Hearing that, Seola had a face full of question marks. The halo in the sky grew whiter and whiter. Ju Hyun said as he walked. All right, Commander. He said something that surprised everyone. Walking on two legs, is it difficult? Commander Will sweat dropped. He pretended not to understand what he meant. What do you mean? Ju Hyun lost his patience. He shouted. Stop acting. Anubis, you trash dog. Instead of revealing the situation, Anubis in the form of the commander quickly turned around. Ju Hyun quickly punched him so hard that he couldn't dodge. The powerful punch sent his body flying far away. Dust flew up. Jae-ha asked, stunned. Why did he suddenly attack him? Was he really Anubis? The smoke cleared to reveal Anubis' true form. It growled angrily. This brat. Jae-ha looked surprised. It was him. Ju Hyun continued. Ever since I got here, I've been looking for you. You put a lot of effort into hiding. You dog. He rubbed his knuckles and smiled wickedly. Now it was time to pay for running away, wasn't it? Anubis sensed danger before even engaging in battle. His body was covered in sweat. Ju Hyun's voice rang out. Now, isn't it time for you to pay for running away? Anubis roared angrily. You think I'll give up that easily? You're so wrong. It summons countless skeletons with glowing red eyes. Ju Hian frowned in warning. If you keep acting like this, the consequences will be dire. Anubis didn't care. It replied arrogantly. Only if I get caught. Just wait. Attack it. He curled his lips. He didn't seem to mind it at all. Have you forgotten that these skeletons are useless? He said and slashed at them. Anubis looked down on him. It seems you've gotten stronger than I thought. But I can create an infinite army. As soon as he finished speaking, the destroyed skeletons stood up again. He thought to himself. And this is just a distraction. Keep stabbing the skeletons. You're about to explode. Suddenly, Jeha's pocket lit up. He reached out and saw that there was a change in it. The holy relic Van Gogh. Even Anubis was affected. Ah, it hurts. What's going on? Immediately after, the boy trapped in the painting was suddenly released. He asked, rubbing his wrist. What just happened? Suddenly a strange feeling arose in his head. Anubis's dark voice rang out. You useless fool. What have you done? He rubbed his head uncomfortably. Is this telepathy? But why does it hurt so much? Anubis continued. Of all the people ordered to be killed, you are the closest to Ju Hian. Hearing that, the boy shouted angrily. What can I do? I didn't even have a chance. You had plenty of chances. Damn it. Anubis spoke. Whatever. Give me back the cursed holy relic. I'm talking about the copy of the holy relic Merlin's. He scratched his head and stammered. It was stolen by Ju Hian's subordinates. Anubis couldn't stand it anymore. What? This idiot. Can't do anything. Seeing the unconscious boy, Jeha quickly approached. Hey, you back there, wake up. Suddenly his pocket glowed again, this time it was purple. The purple light quickly shot out, Jeha helplessly shouted. Another one escaped. What the hell is going on? Anubis ordered, go forward, the holy relic cursed, breaking the link between Ju Hian and the crow. Ju Hian looked back warily, Jeha's shout rang out at the same time, boss, be careful. The bear charged with unpredictable force, luckily Ju Hian dodged in time. He cursed in frustration, missed, next time will definitely hit, take it. A huge source of power oscillates in the sky. The cute bear from earlier was now gone, its muscles bulging. Jeha shouted in shock, wait a minute, why is it so big now? Ju Hian covered his wound with his hand, the way he looked made me feel uneasy, the attacks would probably be as dirty as his appearance. The system pops up a message, this is a copy of the holy relic Leonardo da Vinci, this is a copy of the holy relic Merlin's can temporarily block the scent of the crow. After reading it, he immediately thought, if he blocks the crow's scent, will the entire system be blocked? The notification bar shook because of its attack. The bear that looked dirty was making some extremely unsightly movements. It laughed in an impolite tone, ready to go, so Ju Hian, ha ha ha. He stood there watching, sweating, silently telling himself that he needed to be careful not to get caught in this trick. Then Ju Hian raised his hand to summon his strength, if I wanted to continue hitting without getting hit, then I would have to counterattack even harder. He summoned a giant monster with hellfire surrounding its body, now burning them all. Anubis was stunned by the sight, this bastard, since when did he get such a formidable holy relic? Ju Hian's voice rang out, after you ran away, a lot of interesting things happened. The bear and the skeletons were about to charge, oh yeah, but you were alone while there were as many of us as ants. Ju Hian's giant holy relic has begun to make its move. It punched down so hard that the whole area exploded, the people standing outside secretly trembled, if I had come any closer, I don't know if I would have been able to keep my life. Siola spoke up, I have to go help, you stay. Jeha asked in surprise, huh, what are you going to do? She called out her holy relic and replied, when that dog disappeared, Gildal had also changed a bit, I might be able to catch him off guard. Anubis saw that his side seemed to be losing, so he shouted loudly and punched hard. I can create as many reinforcements as I want, so just attack them. Suddenly a body emerged from behind it, causing Anubis to frown in alarm. What is this? Those clones are Siolas the holy relic, who is assisting Ju Hian in destroying the enemy. The guy smiled and said, oh great, I was wondering how to increase the number of people. Siola said, I will take care of the skeletons. Ju Hian replied, okay, then I will take good care of the muscular panda and this dog. His voice rang out, did you hear that, panda? Come here to daddy? Both sides charged at each other at breakneck speed, seemingly only a flash of light could be seen passing by. Ju Hian said as he made his move, after observing the way you fight, even though you know how to use dirty tricks, it seems like your real ability is still poor. Seeing its face start to frown, he continued to provoke. What did I say wrong? With that, he slashed straight at its six-pack abs. The deep slash exposed the cotton inside its intestines. The muscular bear cried out in pain, "No, my precious cotton." Seeing him let his guard down, Ju Hian kindly reminded him, "Watch your head." Behind it was the giant holy relic he had just summoned, the attack in his hand preparing to strike down with force. The bear saw it but didn't have time to react. Its face was filled with tears as if it was about to cry. It was extremely funny. The last punch landed, smoke and fire covered the sky, the bear was nowhere to be seen. Anubis was busy fighting the other ghosts and turned around. How could it be? No, it seemed like he couldn't believe that his capable subordinate would be destroyed so easily. The muscular bear was now nothing more than a rag wrapped around a bundle of cotton. Ju Hian's voice rang out, "Well done, one down." He slowly walked out. Now it was this dog's turn. Anubis was scared but still spoke boldly, "Come here, you think I'm afraid of you?" He tried to suppress his trembling body. Despite his boasting, he was actually very scared. Anubis saw Ju Hian approaching like the king of hell descending to earth. His mind was in chaos. What to do? Should he run away? Run away before things get worse. Okay, let's run. Having made a decision, it immediately turned around and ran away resolutely. Ju Hian cursed under his breath and ordered, "That dog, grab him, rope." The rope listened to the command with great excitement, "Grab the dog, grab the dog." The rope was pressed against Anubis' back. It kept shouting, "Stop, stop." Anubis was startled when he saw it chasing after him. "It's you again, really annoying." Anubis was determined to summon some skeletons to block his way. This time he couldn't get caught. But the rope quickly broke the siege, avoiding it. Anubis ran and cursed in his heart, "How did that brat get to S rank? If I get caught I'll die, damn it." It glanced around, silently thinking, is there anywhere to hide? Not there. Finally it saw a door. There it was. The string chased and repeated itself, to no avail, to no avail. "You hide in the toilet, so dirty, so dirty. But I will still catch you, catch you." The rope started searching each room. "Where are you, where are you? Is it there? Or here? Oh, the last chamber? Gone, gone." The rope looked around in confusion, lost it, lost it. But the dog was actually still in there, clinging to the ceiling to be exact. Anubis trembled trying to keep his body steady. He gritted his teeth and begged, "Go away, please go away." He was about to collapse, sweat pouring down his forehead, his nerves on edge. Seeing the rope about to go out the door, he was secretly happy. Yes, yes, go. But the rope below kept dragging back and forth. So strange, it must have come in here. Suddenly it came to an idea, or was it above? Saying that, it looked up. The dog's body suddenly stiffened. The rope immediately rushed over. "It turned out you were on the ceiling." Anubis was so scared that he said, "Nonsense, no, I'm just a fluorescent light." Not letting it protest, the rope was wrapped tightly around its neck. Let's play, let's play." So after all the effort of running away, Anubis finally got himself into trouble. The rope happily pulled the dog back to the owner. Caught it, caught it. It jumped around excitedly. "You did well, you did well." Ju Hian's compliments made Anubis turn to stone immediately. "Great, you're very good." The rope was very happy to be praised. "He, the master praised me, the master praised me." Ju Hian's eyes suddenly became sharp. Now, what should this dog be made into? That question made Anubis tremble even more violently, its black face pale. He continued, "I'll let you decide. 1. I'll boil you alive. 2. I'll chop you into 100 pieces. 3. Make you into a roast dog." After hearing that, Anubis immediately pretended to be stupid. "You, what are you saying?" Ju Hian ignored its question and spoke up. "The first choice would be soup, the second would be sashimi, and the last would be a whole grilled dog." Anubis felt a chill down his spine. This guy was laughing so horribly. His voice rang out again. "What kind do you like? Just say it." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised the sharp knife in his hand. The dog started to sweat. It was not going to kill him anyway. He silently prayed, "Forgive me, I was just trying to survive. I thought the leader would kill us if we didn't run." So a high-ranking holy relic like me, Setter Osiris, would be severely punished if caught serving humans. Ju Hian heard that and immediately looked enlightened. "Oh little brother, your reason is really convincing." Anubis felt like there was a way out of death. He excitedly looked up. "Do you understand?" Suddenly his expression changed 360 degrees. "Understand? But thinking about me losing to someone like that, I can't ignore it." Anubis roared, "What do you mean? Such a person, he is the leader, the leader. Leaders are almost all the manipulators of the world of the holy relic." Ju Hian folded his arms in response, seemingly losing all patience. "Your crime is daring to underestimate my ability to fight any enemy. Furthermore, didn't you have plans to rebel even after I defeated that leader? The order to kill SEO Ju Hian, how do you explain that?" Hearing that, Anubis jumped up. How did you know? Look at you, struggling to find a way out, just stay there. Looking at the man and dog arguing back and forth, Jeha and Seola's faces both showed helplessness. In the end, Anubis was lying miserably on the ground. Ju-Hyun said as he walked away, restore it. Jeha shouted in frustration, hey, if you intend to restore and use it, don't make a mess of it. He cried and said, I have to take on more work, I'm already busy. The halo of light once again appeared in the sky, two silhouettes gradually approached. It turned out to be Lightning and Osiris. Anubis was moved to tears. Wow, as expected, you two came to save me. Lightning frowned and shouted his name, Seo Ju-Hyun. Looking at their faces, it seemed like they were about to fight, but unexpectedly these two guys lay on the ground and pretended to be angry. We are innocent, we just followed that bastard. Anubis was stunned as if he couldn't believe his eyes. You guys came here to surrender? Ju-Hyun thought, without evidence who would believe? Seeing their expressions and gestures, the guy had to accept it. I will believe you guys. The tale told the truth. They shamelessly made a request while Anubis was lying dejectedly in a corner, so can we go home and eat chicken? I want to watch TV. Ju-Hyun thought to himself, these guys really became pets. Oh well, that's fine. Finally he spoke up, that sounds good, but in return, you guys have to listen and watch out for Anubis. If it escapes again, there will be no chickens or TVs, understand? Hearing this, Set and Osiris' faces became distorted, and they answered in unison. Yes. Then the two of them simultaneously turned to attack Anubis psychologically. You hear me, Anubis, don't try to escape again. Hurry up and apologize to Ju-Hyun right now. Anubis felt wronged but did not dare to say anything. How did the powerful and sacred Egyptian holy relic become like this? They started arguing. I guess I don't care, fried chicken is more important. I want to watch TV. Egu. Jeha was annoyed. I need to heal him so everyone stay out of the way. Ju-Hyun said to Seola. The Anubis are done, let's focus on the crypt now. She replied. Good, I'm a little nervous about excavating the crypt right now. We haven't had a single minute of real rest yet. The guy thought and opened the phone book. Should he call for help? Ju-Hyun then pressed the button. A greeting came from the other end of the line. He asked, Irene, are you busy? Hearing the other person's name, Seola's expression changed. Irene quickly replied, I was on my way after hearing the news. She worriedly asked, Ju-Hyun, are you okay? The other side replied, I'm fine, everything's fine, I was about to call you. After hanging up, he informed Seola that she was coming. She tried to hide her jealousy. He must be happy, right? Suddenly the ground shook violently. The system displays a warning, the crypt is expanding due to the power of an unknown person, the crypt is out of control. Ju-Hyun was stunned for a few seconds before reacting, the crypt was expanding, could an existing crypt change? He turned around in frustration, that dog Anubis, what did you do? It retorted indignantly, it wasn't me. The three dogs' voices rang out, it's the leader, huh? The leader, he stole our power to reform the crypt. The power of all three of them was being drained. Anubis cursed under his breath, which meant the leader had seen it all. Jeha panicked and shouted, Boss, what should we do now? Ju-Hyun replied, we're too close to the tomb and will be swept away, watch your head. Hearing that, he panicked even more, is this it, is there no way out? Ju-Hyun frowned in thought. A beam of light appeared in the sky, shining straight down from the sky. It got louder and louder, Ju-Hyun's voice became urgent, if anything, your brother would have tried it. The scene suddenly changed, strange statues appeared before the group's eyes. They were teleported here without knowing it. Ju-Hyun cursed in frustration, damn it, I'm in the crypt. Then he turned around and said, hey, you three idiots. Waking them up, they responded in unison, yes, sir. They started licking each person's face one by one, using this method to wake them up. Jeha stood up with a pained face covered in drool. Ju-Hyun asked, is everyone okay? For a beginner, Jeha seemed fine. He replied painfully, it hurts so much. Why is my environmental protection job always like this? Seola interjected, I'm fine too. Good, that's a relief. Lightning tried to wake up the last brat, stop pretending to be dead. Get up, this guy is really good at pretending. He finally sat up and wiped his drool. Seth thought to himself, this guy has pretty good taste. Ju-Hyun's voice rang out, we can get out if we succeed in the raid, so it's not that big of a problem, we were trying to get in the first place anyway. Isn't it a matter of us being stuck without any preparation? Jeha also interjected, yes, we were also hurt. Lightning looked annoyed, we should be restored before starting. What, is it that bad, are our limbs about to fall off or something? Ju-Hyun replied, no, not that bad. Just bear with it, I'll restore you guys when we get out of here. Lightning said annoyed, hey, don't be so unfair. Fried chicken. Suddenly a piece of chicken thigh appeared in the air. Lightning pretended to frown. SEO Ju-hyun, what do you think I am? You dare to use fried chicken to seduce me? That's insulting. Finally his expression changed 360 degrees, but this time I will let it go. Anubis saw his friend being corrupted and cried in pain. Lightning was not like this in the beginning. Then they continued walking forward. Good, let's go deeper inside. When they reached a turn, two figures appeared ahead, causing them to stop an alarm. Seola spoke, I think I heard someone talking. Ju-hyun replied, me too, you stay here, I'll go check. It seems we are not the only ones caught up in this. The rope asked curiously, who is it, who is it? The man over there shouted, hurry up and act. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We lost that kid Lewis, so this is our only chance to get Da Vinci's holy relic. It's definitely in this crypt. Search every nook and cranny. Ju-hyun heard the plan. Wasn't that Chairman Quan? He came here to find Da Vinci's holy relic. He smirked. No way. Chairman Quan and the archaeological team are all here. They came prepared. Ju-hyun said they brought a whole team of hunters with them. Seola wondered. Hunters? It's slang, he explained. They're for scumbags who are better at fighting than digging. Right. So they were mostly heavily armed. But on the other hand, I ran here like crazy. There was no time to recharge the holy relic. Most of the holy relics I used were already pretty weak. And since we haven't had a moment's rest yet, we should save our energy and avoid unnecessary fights from now on. Jae-ha was happy to hear that. It was a wise decision after all. Ju-hyun continued. We have to go in anyway. No need to worry about running into them. Let's go. The dark hallway echoed with uneven footsteps. The group gradually entered the center of the crypt. Pharaoh statues lined up in 2 rows on either side of the walkway. Ju-hyun spoke up. Everyone get ready. I think we'll have to fight a bit in this room. Jae-ha asked in surprise. Huh, we've reached the room containing the holy relic? His voice rang out. No, this is a trap. At the same time, everyone felt the danger lurking around. One of the statues gradually grew larger and moved. It shouted angrily. Who dares to disturb the pharaoh's sleep? The crowd also shouted in panic. Ah, the statue is turning real. Only Ju-hyun kept his composure. You're surprised by that? Jae-ha jumped up in panic. It would be strange if he wasn't surprised. It's just a small trap anyway. Just break his shoulder. Don't worry. It's easy for you, boss, look at them. So scary. Ju-hyun curled his lips. Stop grumbling and attack. The statue roared angrily. A huge stream of power instantly shot out. Jae-ha was scared and quickly ran away. Ha! Attack or whatever. As long as someone like me survives, that's fine. Ju-hyun, who was fighting, heard that and said. Then don't die and endure it. I'll take care of this quickly. As soon as he finished speaking, a sharp slash cut across the statue. It was quickly cut in half. The heavy head fell to the ground before Lewis's astonished eyes. Fear of the rope saw the boy and rushed towards him. It wrapped around Lewis, making him angry. Hey rope, you don't need to fight. It replied. I'll keep an eye on you. Keep an eye on you. Suddenly a large boulder flew towards Jae-ha. Luckily Ju-hyun saved him in time. You're blaming him to death. Pay attention. The statue finally fell to the ground, sending dust flying. Ju-hyun stood straight in that smoke without any danger. He smiled triumphantly, as easy as pie. Jae-ha still couldn't get over his fear. He asked tremblingly, is it really over? Ju-hyun said firmly. I told you so. It's just a small trap. Jae-ha wondered again. Wait. Then why didn't we avoid it in the first place? Ju-hyun's answer left him bewildered. Here was the shortcut. He asked as he walked, where does this shortcut lead? Ju-hyun replied mysteriously, you'll know soon. Suddenly Ju-hyun pointed forward and said. There she is. It turned out that Irene was right around the corner ahead. Ju-hyun chose to fight the statue instead of avoiding it because he wanted to meet her faster. She saw them and happily called out. Ju-hyun. Ju-hyun spoke up. You're here. Jae-ha was surprised. Huh? We came here to find Irene? Irene breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't know how to find you. Ju Hyun. What a relief. She recounted. Suddenly there was an earthquake and I was swept into this. He replied. Finding you was easy. I have located the scent of the holy relic Midas. Jaeha seemed to have figured something out. So that's why we're all in here? Irene asked worriedly. Oh no, are you all okay? Of course we're okay. The torch is lit to light the way. Now all we need to do is get to the chamber containing the holy relic. Wait a moment, let me find the way. Ju Hyun spoke while lighting the way. I could detect it through the carvings in the tomb. The walls were covered with ancient writings. Jaeha asked curiously. What holy relic was in this crypt? It must have been engraved there too. That's right. But, why? Is something wrong? Ju Hyun rubbed his chin thoughtfully. There were just too many things written here. I bet when he got here, a message that the Valley of Kings had appeared. The Valley of the Kings was a famous pharaoh's necropolis during Egypt's New Kingdom period. The tombs were built by digging out the rocks in the valley. The famous pyramids we know today were tombs from the ancient kingdom of Egypt. They took a lot of time and money to build and were very vulnerable to theft. That's why the pharaohs of the new empire created these tombs. In the end, it became a trap. Seola saw him silent for a long time and asked. There were too many things written. His voice rang out. There was a high possibility that there were several holy relics inside this crypt. It was not surprising that there was more than one holy relic. Among the 7 great crypts, the crypt of lust and jealousy was the same. Ju Hyun continued, but here it's different, there's more than 1 or 2. From what I've read, there's a lot of information about a large number of the holy relics here. Some of the Pentagon's holy relics might be in here too. Jaeha and Irene were delighted to hear that, then they had hit the jackpot. Ju Hyun said again, but because there was too much information, I couldn't tell who the real owner of this tomb was. Then he turned a corner. I could guess, but go ahead, this way. The footsteps of the group echoed. At the fork in the road ahead, the 2 groups were about to meet. Chairman Quan's men panicked and retreated. The leader swung the axe in his hand and ordered, don't move. Ju Hyun laughed and said, calm down, we're just an excavation team. These guys, judging by their clothes, they seem to be Americans. So you guys must be pretty good, right? Looks like you can handle the holy relic. Those guys shouted loudly, the right to excavate this tomb belongs to us. Now that you have been caught by us, you must stop immediately and obey our instructions. He pointed at Ju Hyun. I heard you guys cooperated with foreign excavation teams, but you lied to me. Ju Hyun calmly replied, I'm still on my way to meet your president, we've already contacted the other teams. The officer continued, we have contacted the other teams, but I know your name is not on that list, Seo Ju Hyun. Hearing that, he cursed inwardly, damn it, this guy knows me. Then he turned to Irene and whispered, can you help? I don't think these guys will let us go. Just a little attack. Irene heard that and replied with a smile, just a little huh, okay. Seeing that, the other guy shouted, what are you guys whispering about, hand over your weapons and surrender. Irene summoned her power and replied, sorry but we can't help it. The energy beam attacked them directly, causing them to writhe in pain. Strange changes started to appear on their bodies. Hair is growing all over my body. Another one was holding his throat. I have gills, it hurts. Seeing that situation, Seo Ju Hyun's facial muscles suddenly twitched. Can you be more gentle? Is the strength too hard to control? Irene asked worriedly. That's gentle enough. The system screen displayed a message. The ruins of the crypt had been combined with the power of bankruptcy, the power of the curse had been amplified. Ju Hyun read it and wondered, curse, is there a curse attribute in this tomb? Seeing the officers still struggling in pain, they said, let's run, this is the right time. Suddenly the system flashed again. It says, the curse of the Pharaoh is starting to attack you right now. As soon as he finished speaking, a mysterious purple power was released and covered the entire group. Jaeha almost screamed, what the hell, my whole body hurt like crazy. Seola hugged her chest and tried to speak, but I did the opposite. Ju Hyun saw the purple light and frowned. After a long while, the smoke cleared to reveal unusual changes appearing on their bodies. The crowd looked at each other in bewilderment. What is this? Seola touched her face. She hesitantly said, my age has changed. Irene looked in disbelief. It's true. Ju Hyun was equally surprised. He exclaimed, how absurd. Among them, Jaeha was the most unnerved. He cried out in pain, it was absurd. Why did I turn into an old man? How can I turn back? Do something? He pointed at Ju Hyun indignantly. Boss, you're the only one who's fine, how could that be? Ju Hyun replied indifferently. Who knows, maybe it's because of the difference in status. He thought to himself. It was more about stamina than rank. But now was not the time to explain. Jaeha turned his attack to Lewis. What's wrong with this brat? Why are we the only ones getting hit? The brat replied angrily. Wouldn't it be better if one less person got transformed? Why do you have to mock me? Ju-hoon calmly replied. We won't know anything if we keep shouting why. What's important is what we should do now. Jaeha replied. I'm fine. Say whatever you want. Okay, everyone calm down. Is anyone hurt? Can everyone talk? Seola spoke up. Yes, my brain is still the same. Irene tried to look up at him. Me too, Ju-hoon. His voice rang out. That's good, but that attack just now gave me a rough idea of what kind of holy relic was in this crypt. Jaeha was curious. Huh, what is it? He explained. This age-altering attack is called a curse. This entire tomb is a curse. It is what increased Irene's power. There is the Valley of the Kings and the curse keyword. Then the owner of the tomb is the holy relic of Tutankhamun. Jaeha hesitated. Tutankhamun. I think I've heard of him somewhere. He replied. Yes, you've probably heard of him at least once. Although the pharaohs of the New Kingdom were buried in the Valley of the Kings to guard against theft, that did not completely deter robbers. But there is one place, one intact tomb, that is the tomb of Tutankhamun. Along with a large amount of buried treasure, and attracted the attention of the whole world in the blink of an eye. As people began to pay attention to the place, a demonic rumor arose that anyone who dared to approach Tutankhamun's tomb would be cursed to death. Although the sponsor of this excavation team, Loro Canaban, an English aristocrat, was indeed dead. He had been in poor health since he began his work. Many other authorities reported that he had had a wonderful time. In the end, most people believed the rumor to be an exaggerated story. However, since these holy relics are derived from those stories, Tutankhamun's holy relic may also have curse abilities. How annoying. Jaeha wondered, a holy relic can curse people to death, so how do we capture it? Ju-hyun replied, we might have to fight once we enter that room. But the problem is we might get caught before we get inside. The curse can hit us anywhere in here. Need to move and avoid his tracking as much as possible. From now on I will not use the holy relic anymore and just move lightly. He held a torch and led the group, giving instructions as they walked, making sure to avoid the trap rooms and avoid running into other teams. Moving slowly was not difficult. We could avoid the traps from the tomb carvings and avoid other people if we stayed calm. This is a situation where you need to quickly get past the holy relics to solve the riddle on your junior. It is essential to stay calm and move carefully. But it seemed like they were in trouble when Ju-hyun's footsteps suddenly stopped. Ahead was a bottomless pit. Jaeha cursed in frustration. This was a vertical air duct. Vertical air duct, it was used to prevent robbers, but it seemed like there was one here too. Ju-hyun warned, since it was made from the holy relic, it must be very deep. If it falls, the movie will be over. Jaeha broke out in a cold sweat. Their voices echoed. I thought we need to go down to get to the other side. Should we use the rope to go one by one? The rope was surprised. Me. Ju-hyun explained the plan. If you move each individual one by one, that damn holy relic won't be able to catch it. Rope, tie me first and take me to the other side. The rope asked again, really, can I tie you? I don't care, just keep that thought in mind. Use as little energy as possible. Yes. Don't worry, it said comfortingly and quickly flew down below. Ju-hyun slowly slid down the rope. A voice suddenly sounded above his head. Oh, this is really good. Ju-hyun finally set foot on the ground. He ordered the rope. Good, it worked. Now go back and bring Irene and Seola over here. Since they're both small, you can easily carry both of them, right? Of course. Lewis stood at the end of the line and saw the situation before him and thought, oh wait, isn't this the right time to run away? The rope is gone and Ju-hyun is quite far away. I can run away in the opposite direction without having to fight. The boy smirked. Good, let's run. It won't be good if those two sisters catch me, so I'll go when they get to the other side. Then he looked at the innocent Jaeha, and I can easily fool this guy. Jaeha had no idea about Lewis's escape plan. He excitedly shouted, be careful underfoot. The rope was carrying two girls flying down at the same time. At this moment, thinking that, Lewis turned and ran away with a triumphant smile on his lips. Jaeha was stunned by the sudden action. He shouted and stopped. The movement up there reached Ju-hyun's ears. He looked up worriedly. What happened? Lewis ran away smiling. Success, no longer their prisoner. Suddenly a hand reached out and grabbed the boy's arm. It turned out that Jaeha quickly caught up with him. This brat, you think you can escape when I'm watching your school? I can catch you easily. Lewis counterattacked and pinned him down. Do you think I'll let someone like you catch me? Jeha cursed and flipped over to pin him down. This brat, okay, let's see. Lewis was pressed down and immediately rolled his eyes. You're crazy. The sound of the two arguing echoed down below. You're as heavy as a pig, damn it, I won't let you go, brat. Ju Hyun sighed inwardly, it seemed like there was trouble again. The upper echelons started to punch each other. Wait a minute, how is that possible? How can you move like that when you're an old man? My hips are killing me, so shut up. Jeha tried to shout, it's okay boss, I got the brat, give me the rope quickly, so I can tie him. He had not finished speaking when he was punched in the face. Lewis tried to jump out to escape, accidentally pushing Jeha back. It seemed that they did not expect the situation to turn out like this, both of their faces were distorted. Jeha finally lost his balance and fell straight into the hole behind, his scream echoing throughout the crypt. It seemed like Ju Hyun had anticipated that scene. He anxiously called out, you Jeha. Hold him with the rope. Okay, the rope responded and quickly rushed away. Suddenly his face became tense. Only after I shouted out of reflex did I realize that. In order to save the falling Jeha, the rope would obviously have to increase its speed and strength. And so all his efforts to avoid it were in vain. The thing he least wanted happened. The strange purple power found them again. So you guys were here. The system pops up a notification, the Pharaoh's curse is getting closer. Before the rope could catch Jeha, his body was gradually covered in purple gas and disappeared. He shouted in confusion. Where are you going? Seola was also in the same situation. She turned to Ju Hyun, boss, in confusion. Irene was also not free from the curse. She worriedly called his name, Ju Hyun. He couldn't react in time and could only watch as the cursed people gradually disappeared. Ju Hyun stared at the purple smoke in shock. They were gone. I thought he wouldn't be affected by the curse like before. But now Ju Hyun's body gradually became blurry. Finally turned into wind and disappeared in this strange crypt. Seo Ju Hyun suddenly felt himself trapped in a dark place. He tried to knock on the side to get out. What is that? It's so dark I can't see anything. And I'm trapped in a dark, dilapidated place. The air is so dusty. The guy tried to push but it was useless. Nothing moved. He couldn't keep calm anymore and angrily slammed his fist and shouted. Open up, I don't have time to play in here. A voice rang out in the air. Oh, I heard something. Master, is that you? What? What is it? Master is here. The voice made Seo Ju Hyun look at it in shock. He called out with all his might. Rope, are you there? The rope quickly responded to its master's call. Yes, I'm here. The other holy relics are here too. Hearing that, the guy was delighted. Really? Is that good? He continued. I think I'm stuck somewhere. Do you know? Can you open it? The rope said, bewildered. This is strange. What is it? What is it? The worm beside him was also angry at the rope's stupid question. Idiot. Don't you know it by looking at it? It's a coffin. The rope still asked in confusion. But it looks like that. What else? That guy is stuck in a coffin. The worm replied. This made the guy both angry and scared. What? He yelled. What the hell? In a coffin. The scream seemed to want to destroy everything. On the other side, two little girls fell on top of each other in pain. The two girls looked around and asked. Where? It seems like this is another hallway. It seems like we were teleported. The red-haired girl raised her hand to adjust her shirt and asked. This time the holy relic has changed us. Are you okay? The blonde girl replied. I'm fine. And you? The red-haired girl looked down sadly. So did I, but it looks like we're stuck in here. How do we find the boss? There was really no other way but to use the holy relic. The little girl beside her opened her eyes wide when she heard that. Then she clenched her hands in fear and said. But what if I use it and get cursed? The red-haired girl was helpless to answer the truth. There is a real danger, but what can we do now? She smiled and comforted her friend. Don't worry, searching is Gildel's specialty. Just using a little bit of energy is enough. She said eloquently. Just like when the boss used the rope earlier. Do it, or you'll get caught. The little girl beside her looked at her with sparkling eyes full of admiration. The girl with the red eyes started to act. I'll try to call him. The kid beside cheered. Okay, the girl used all her strength to perform the magic. She said. Go, Gildel. Immediately Gildel appeared. The girl stared in thought. Now, take a big risk. Please. Gildal asked, surprising the girl. What did you call me, master? The little girl beside him said. All right then. The redhead breathed a sigh of relief. I don't think we've been discovered. The blonde couldn't hide her joy. Glad, you're so good. Then she gave an order. Gildal, find the boss. He must be somewhere in the crypt. And bring the boss back here. But you must remain as hidden as possible. Just go slowly. I am being followed. Gildal bowed his head in acknowledgement. Understood, I will return. The two girls glanced at Gildal. Waiting was happiness now. The blonde girl happily smiled and praised me. I thought about it for a long time. But her skills are amazing. Knowing that Sao Juhian has such a talented colleague. I don't have to worry anymore. The red-haired girl was so shy that she blushed. She turned her head away and stammered, it's nothing. Tall figures appeared on the wall. Those are the guys wearing TKBM shirts. They walked proudly in the crypt. Suddenly an old bald man with white mulberry hair fell down. The fall landed him on top of a guy who was face down in pain and shouted, "Who is this?" The old man held his head and cried in pain. His head. The young man still spoke loudly. An old man he had never seen before. The old man was still shocked and scared when the group pointed weapons at him. Hey, old man, where did you come from? Why are you harassing us? The old man turned his head and looked around, thinking. These crazy guys. Is this the TKBM excavation team? Where's the boss? I'm alone. What should I do? One of them shouted when he got no answer. Not going to open his mouth. The old man who was scolded was scared and tears fell like rain, begging for mercy. God, please spare me. The young man beside him saw this and tried to stop him. Hey, calm down. He looks harmless. He could just be a commoner who got sucked into the grave. It could be. But I could smell the holy relic. The old man was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Everyone shouted. Old man, give me all the holy relics and raise your hands. The old man held his head and cried in fear. Oh my God, they are just junk. I mean it. Seeing the old man's fear, they laughed mockingly. Ha ha ha. I told you not to be impatient. He's scared pale. We'll take all the holy relic and chase him away. That's respect for the elders. The old man heard this and thought to himself in surprise. Wait, these guys. Don't they realize who we are? The old man looked at those brats and thought. There's no way these bastards will let Sao Juhian's group go. I guess it's because of that curse that changed my appearance. There is a way out. He knelt down with a guilty face and said. If you want the holy relic, I will give it to you. But since I only collect them for fun, they're not that interesting. The other guy was happy to hear that. It's okay, just hand them over. The holy relics are dangerous objects. We'll take care of them for you. A voice said. What's going on? Hearing this voice, the old man glanced at the man. The staff replied. It's nothing, sir. Just a civilian who suddenly appeared. Chairman Quan. He was surprised here. The staff continued to speak. We intend to take the holy relic and let him go. Chairman Quan replied with a sinister face. Oh really? The staff began to flatter. Yes, sir. You told us not to leave any traces. We will always remember your words. Chairman Quan stared at the old man with a sinister smile. He said. A commoner, why do you look so familiar? His words made the old man sweat with fear. Damn it, he recognized me. Chairman Quan spoke. You Jae-ha. Why are you here alone? Where is your boss? This made everyone panic in surprise. You Jae-ha. A frightened employee replied. Is that old man Jae-ha? The president glared angrily at the useless employees. Can't you see it? How disappointing. Jae-ha, determined not to reveal his identity, stammered. What are you talking about? I'm a little hard of hearing. Old Quan grinned wickedly. Then I will help you hear clearly. Cut off my ears. Jae-ha screamed in fear. Ah. The staff received the order to step forward and hold the old man's ear and said. That's the chairman's order. Do you like the left or the right ear better? Jae-ha tried to struggle to get free. Not me. I'm not the person named Jae-ha. I'm just a hired hand. I don't know anything. Old Quan's hand looks like a devil's. Stop denying it. Jeha's ear was pinched, but his body suddenly showed strange signs. He was surprised to notice this change looking at his hands and body. The guy froze when he saw his body return to its original form. He wanted to turn back but not now. The crowd suddenly exclaimed. This guy really was you, Jeha? The crowd looked at Jeha with fearful eyes. The guy knew there was no way out, so he knelt down and clasped his hands together to beg for mercy. I apologized for lying. But both the phone and laptop were from TKBM. All the devices in my house came from TKBM, so just this once. Chairman Quan ordered, kill him. Jeha was so scared that his mouth was wide open. He continued. If this brat dies, that little Louis will come back to us. Jeha said in a panic. Wait. Why are you like this? I have to live to be of any use to you. I can only be of use to you if I'm alive. If you spare me, I'll reveal all of Seo Ju-hyun's weaknesses. The guy thought to himself. I'm sorry, boss. I'm just trying to buy time. Really? The young man's hands were clenched into fists on his thighs, shaking with anger. Old Quan laughed horribly. How interesting. Let me hear it. Chairman Quan crossed his arms and sternly ordered. Seo Ju-hyun's weakness. Interesting. Tell me. Jeha was forced into a corner, sweating and stammering. It must be worth listening to. He glared and gritted his teeth in a terrifying manner. The crime of wasting my time is very serious. The guy said nervously. Of course it was worth it. This was too risky. Damn it. He thought to himself. He smiled evilly and said. Tell me. Jeha was so nervous that his hands clenched into fists on his thighs. I wanted to get his attention, so I said I would tell him about boss's weakness. But what should I say? Does someone like him have any fatal weakness? The staff saw the guy hesitate and scold. What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what the chairman said? Jeha said, startled and scared. Okay. Okay. The sound of someone's footsteps approaching and speaking. It seemed like they were having a good conversation. The boy with the romantic blonde hair pushed his glasses up and said. How about I join? Everyone was surprised by this appearance. Julian Miller. Chairman Quan asked Julian. What are you doing here? Julian walked closer and calmly replied. This is one of the 7 most beautiful crypts, isn't it? My purpose of coming here is the same as yours. While I was searching for Zhuge Liang's relics, Seo Ju-hyun's excavation team seemed to be in danger. So I was heading there. Chairman Quan frowned and asked again. In danger? Seo Ju-hyun. They encountered an accident and were running around in all directions. Jeha was stunned to hear the news about his comrades. Julian continued. You Jeha being here alone proves it. Seo Ju-hyun is now all alone. That's why I'm here to retrieve the relic. It's easier for us to exchange information since we've met here. Old Quan Tae-jun was puzzled by Julian's actions. You planned to attack Seo Ju-hyun? You were close friends with Seo Ju-hyun. It must be because of him that we cut off contact. Julian frowned and replied, I'm close friends with Seo Ju-hyun. It's meaningless. We didn't sign any contracts either. Seriously, nothing was broken. Chairman Quan's secretary also whispered to him. That's right, Chairman. Last time I saw the two of them fighting and it was very serious. He smiled smugly. Is that so? So, it looks like our common enemy is Seo Ju-hyun. He raised his hand and smiled wickedly. So why don't we cooperate a little? You said before you know where Seo Ju-hyun is. Julian replied. Yes. He spread his arms proudly. Perfect. You can lead me there. And maybe find that brat's weak spot. Julian agreed to cooperate. Good idea. Let's go. Quan Tae-jun smiled happily. You seem easy to cooperate with. Julian reminded. Then we must hurry. The chairman frowned and asked the reason. Why? The guy explained. The curse protecting Seo Ju-hyun is weakening. If we delay, we will lose him and the number of people in the group has increased. We need to hurry. We'll hear about his weakness on the way there. Jeha was scared as he listened to the two's conversation. The president turned his head and gave an order. Okay. Let's get ready to go. The staff responded in obedience. Yes, boss. Julian pulled Jeha's hand roughly. If you understand now, stand up and leave. The guy being dragged away said painfully. Take it easy. I'm in pain. The boy with glasses said softly. Stop nagging. I did it to save you. Jeha was startled and confused when he heard this. Jeha frowned in disdain. How fickle. Julian also frowned at the young man's attitude. I passed by here and heard human voices. This is your punishment for making mistakes every day. Can't you and Seo Ju-hon live in peace? Jeha pouted at being scolded. Old man. Julian reminded. Think about revealing Seo Ju-hon's weakness? The guy replied. Okay. Okay. Jeha breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, thanks to him I'm still alive. Now to find a chance to escape. On the other side, the red-haired girl was deep in thought. There was a problem. Gildal couldn't find boss. The little girl beside him asked worriedly. How could that be? The girl explained. She thought he was hiding somewhere special. The little girl held the book in her hand. Let me see if there is any other holy relic that might be useful. Ah, the wind of Chiram. Here, the older sister asked. What is it? She explained. With it, I can know what danger Ju-hon is in. No matter how far away he is. The wind won't tell us the details. But we can learn important information along its path. Would it work anyway? If found out, the older sister asked. The little girl replied under her sister's worried gaze. It was worth a try. The red-haired girl asked again to make sure. Seola, you know it's dangerous, right? The little girl said with a smile. I just couldn't bear to just stand by and watch. Seola put the book on the floor and reminded her. Stay back. We don't know what will happen. Okay, be careful. The older sister said. Irene started flipping through the book. Let's see. The holy relic, tell me what danger Ju-hien is in. The red-haired girl asked. Was it successful? Irene replied. If I'm not mistaken, I see we haven't been discovered. Suddenly the little girl cried out, startling her older sister. The book started flipping open and closed. The red-haired girl ran over. What was this? What was wrong? She read the notes of the cryptic book. Imprisonment, body, and rope. Irene heard that and was scared to tears. Both of them were screaming in fear. What exactly happened, Ju-hien? If it was a rope, was it a rope? She turned to look at Gildal. Wait, Gildal. Go find the string. Gildal obeyed. Okay, I'll be back. The two girls' faces were filled with worry and fear. Ju-hien always carried the string with him, whether he was eating, resting, or watching TV. Has Ju-hien's image changed? Objects rather than people. Irene thought about it and burst into tears. Her older sister suddenly said, What are you talking about? The confused older sister comforted her. I sent Gildal away, so wait for him to come back. Irene was still sobbing. What do you think boss will do with the rope? The red-haired girl was bewildered and in disbelief. Don't think about it. It's completely pointless, right? Impossible. Then they both cried. Irene was enough for me. But now she was jealous of that string too. Ah, wait. What does that mean, Seola? Seo Ju-hien was still lying still in the coffin. He asked. Are you done? The rope wrapped around the coffin replied. It won't open. Because gold will liquefy if melted. We will save Ju-hien by heating this coffin. Come on, burn it. Nero raised his hands and ordered. Ju-hien inside the coffin cried out. Ah, it's too hot, can you stop? The guy cursed. Bastard, I'll burn to death before this coffin melts. Nero was stunned by the scolding. The human body was weak. Then the guy looked ahead in confusion. A message appeared. In 5 minutes, the mummification ceremony will take place. After becoming a mummy, you will be reincarnated to a wonderful place. The guy was stunned by this information. What? What do you mean? This is a mesmerizing experience that no one can imagine. Let me explain first. First, I'll take your brain out through your nose. The guy gritted his teeth in anger. Am I really going to become a mummy? Seo Ju-hien couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Damn it, I'm still alive. Why are you doing this to a living person? Hey, those things out there. The rope asked again. Master, what's wrong? Ju-hien was irritated by the rope's stupid question. Bastard, do something to open this. The holy relics outside asked in unison. What should we do? Yes, we don't even know how to open it. The guy was helpless because of their uselessness. It was of no use. A voice rang out. Master, it seems you are in trouble. Let me help you. Seo Ju-hyun heard this voice unexpectedly. This voice. It's hard to do it for free. How about a deal? The guy recognized the voice too, it was the worm. He asked. What do you want to do? The worm quickly replied. Oh, what situation are you in that you agree so quickly? The SEO guy couldn't keep his cool anymore. Will you guys hurry up? Wait until I get out. The worm spoke. First, his entire fortune. And give up all the artifacts you have. First, all credit to you. And give up all the artifacts you have. Shouldn't you give up everything to save your life? The guy was annoyed by this arrogance. This worm was really cruel. The worm continued to make conditions. Let me go again. I want to go to Elisa. You only gave me work without paying me. I want to quit. Ju-hyun was irritated by the worm's conditions. Who is Elisa? He shouted. Hey, worm, don't you think that's a bit much? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think I'd accept that kind of deal? The worm was angry at not being accepted. You don't want it? You must be crazy. If you don't want it, then so be it. I gave you a good chance. Shouldn't you be grateful and accept it? If you want to live like a mummy. Strong footsteps came forward. Hey, you jerk. Did you upset the boss? A familiar voice said, this voice. The guy spoke. Seola, is that you? Irene held her hand and said. Seola, I heard Ju-hyun's voice. Irene approached the coffin and asked. Ju-hyun, are you in there? He heard her voice say. Irene, you're here too? That's a relief. Now I have someone to talk to. She asked, how did this happen? Seola held the worm tightly in her hand. I think this thing is bothering you. Boss, what should I do with it? The worm looked aggrieved. What are you talking about? I just want to help. The guy said, I think that bastard knows how to get me out of the coffin. But he said he wouldn't tell unless I left him all my assets. Can you two help me? Irene and Seola angrily crushed the hateful worm in their hands. Both said at the same time, roast it. The worm cried out miserably. Save me. The other holy relics also found it terrifying. Oh my. The worm finally gave in. Okay. Just reverse the order of release. Seola couldn't take it anymore and shouted. You do it. The worm said fearfully. Okay. The worm started chanting. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Ju-hyun smiled smugly. It opened. The coffin lid opened and both girls called out names. Ju-hyun. Boss. The guy jumped up and breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, I thought I was going to suffocate in there. Irene saw him with tears in his eyes. I'm glad you're safe. She ran towards him happily. But the rope was faster than she could reach and wrap around his face. I'm fine. But if you keep this up, I'm going to suffocate. Irene was worried outside. Ju-hyun. Are you okay? What happened between you and the rope? The guy replied blankly. I'm fine. But this coffin was really tight. The rope tried to save him from the coffin even though it couldn't. The two girls looked at each other helplessly. Irene said with sparkling eyes. We were worried when Kairam's wind prophesied that something strange was going on. It spoke of imprisonment, bodies, and strings. The guy said to the two girls. Being stuck in the coffin is like being imprisoned. The other two. If he stays in there for long, he will turn into a mummy. It must be just the mummy dedication. Irene sighed. I get it. That's why he didn't mention the rope. She smiled brightly. What a relief. We thought you were going through something bad. The man said quietly. He couldn't think of anything worse than becoming a mummy while still alive. Anyway, you're still alive and escaped. What you need to do is find Jae-ha. Seola pointed at Gildal and said. Gildal can find him. I asked him to find you and it seems like we've avoided the surveillance of the artifacts. Seo Ju-hyun clenched the paper in his hand and said. That's good. Do me a favor. Seola is willing to accept the mission. Okay, I'll send her. While Gildal was out gathering information, we sat down and rested. Fortunately, there were no lost or damaged artifacts here. It would be nice if I could do something about the curse on the two of them while I was thinking about what to do. Gildal had returned. But the guy got the information. What? Ujeha was with Chairman Quan. Seola replied worriedly. Yes, they were talking about his weakness. The guy sighed. Juhian crossed his arms and said, he must have run into Chairman Quan while running away. Ujeha, that guy is unlucky. He rested his chin in his hand, thinking. Surely he wouldn't say much about my weakness. No need to worry. He didn't know anything about levers. But it would be troublesome if he made a deal with Chairman Quan. Seola clasped her hands together and said. Boss. The chief is there too, so Juhian was surprised. What? Miller? Why is that bastard there? Irene looked at the two people talking in confusion. Seola continued. They all talked about his weaknesses. He listened attentively. Well, with Julian's artifact, Julian can see Aura's lever. So he can actually find his weakness. Seo Juhian started thinking. Where were they going? This changed everything. Seola grabbed the guy's shirt. She whispered in his ear. What do you think about getting the chief's memory back? Then things wouldn't be so bad. He thought. Yes. But the problem is if it goes bad in a negative way. There are too many things between him and me that we don't agree on. So I'm sure we'll fight even before we die. He crossed his arms and said, if we bring up memories for him, it might bring up bad memories. Seola replied, that's true, but it won't be worse than the current situation. He colluded with Chairman Quan to harm you. And that was everyone's Chairman Quan. How could that be? If you leave it like this, it will be the boss's fault. Juhian said quietly. She was right. Okay. I'll use the artifact to restore his memories next time. Now, prepare to escape. Irene asked, bewildered. What's wrong with Jae-Hasan? The guy consoled. Don't worry. Nothing bad will happen. It's just a matter of reason. The guy smiled, confusing Irene. Footsteps echoed in the crypt. The TKBM excavation team members walked in a line. Chairman Quan frowned and asked. When will he arrive? Did we lose him? Julian replied. Of course not. Jaeha looked at Julian and thought. I think that old man is getting more and more suspicious. Are we going to be caught like this? The sudden flash of light made everyone turn to look. What was that? Behind me, I heard a voice behind me. Juhian appeared with a confident smile. Jaeha turned back to Julian worriedly. What? You brought everyone to the boss? Julian denied. No. He frowned. I think he came looking for us. Chairman Quan said disdainfully. Seo Juhian? We meet again. The guy calmly walked up and said. Forget it. I don't care about you guys. Old Quan was surprised. What? The guy smirked. I came here to see Julian Miller. Julian was annoyed at being mentioned. Me? Seo Juhian replied. Yes. I heard you join hands with them to attack me. I won't put up with this anymore. Come out here. Julian yelled. Hey. Seo Juhian? You misunderstood. So? Chairman Quan laughed contemptuously. Ha ha ha. That's interesting. It seems like they really don't get along. The secretary also chimed in. Am I right, Chairman? Julian ordered. Get out of here. Shall we have a duel? We'll get the spoils. The guy was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Seo Juhian? Listen to me. There's no reason for you and I to fight. Juhian interrupted. You can say whatever you want, but I came here because I had made my decision. Then his footsteps rushed forward strongly. He rushed forward with all his might. A hand holding a sword passed by. Julian Miller was surprised but still dodged Seo Juhian's attack. He shouted. Wait, Seo Juhian. Stop and listen to me. Even so, Seo Juhian still kept a cold attitude and attacked. Seo Juhian just now replied? If you have something to say, then I'm doing what I want. As he spoke, he slashed his sword cleanly. Uncle Quan Taejun was very excited when he saw the fight just now. Ha ha ha, what a good thing. It's like hitting your nose without touching it. Unlike the excitement of his uncle Quan Tae-jun, Yu Jae-ha was quite scared. He watched the two of them fight and sweat profusely, thinking to himself, oh not too bad, I have to stop the boss. But how? Julian Miller seemed to have lost all patience with the swordsman in front of him, he growled. Then he roared, bringing with him a punch. The force seemed quite great. If you keep coming this way, I have no choice but to fight back. As soon as he finished speaking, Julian launched his counterattack, a blinding light bursting from his punch. The blonde still kept up his strong energy with no intention of giving in. He looked straight at Ju-hyun's face and said loudly, listen carefully Seo Ju-hyun, I only pretended to cooperate with those bastards to save Yu Jae-ha. If I didn't act, Yu Jae-ha would have died, but because I knew him, I couldn't abandon him. Hearing Julian Miller's words, Seo Ju-hyun opened his eyes wide in surprise. What, is that so? Did I misunderstand? But then suddenly Seo Ju-hyun smirked, but like I said, that's not the problem now. Now it was Julian Miller's turn to be surprised. Suddenly boom, a pretty big explosion happened. Everyone around was startled, quickly covered their eyes with their hands. What's wrong? My eyes hurt. Suddenly something was brought out. The water landed squarely on Julian Miller's face, successfully stunning him. The next second he suddenly held his head, lay down on the ground and screamed, "On my head." He seemed to be in great pain, holding his head and screaming. Gradually he felt something strange in his mind. What is this? Is it an illusion? No, it can't be. The image of an angry Seo Ju-hyun appeared before his eyes. Seo Ju-hyun, huh? He seemed to be clawing at someone's beak. His tone was very angry. Stop talking nonsense and go do the mission, okay? Then Julian saw Ju-hyun grab his shoulder and say loudly, it's a trap, the rescue team won't come here, it's all because of Chairman Quan. Miller was still hesitant and afraid to follow Seo Ju-hyun's words. Seo Ju-hyun was still adamant, I can't let my people die, you take them out, I will be the bait. Julian Miller didn't seem to want to do this mission very much. The sight of monsters with fanged mouths, huge horns on their heads, and bloodshot eyes appearing before him made him hesitate, but if he did, before he could finish his sentence, Ju-hyun would scold him. What else could he hesitate about? Just shut up and go. And then what had to happen happened. Julian witnessed Seo Ju-hyun charging into the monsters alone, despite him shouting loudly behind him, boss. At this point, Julian Miller understood everything. Yes, I remember, Seo Ju-hyun sacrificed himself to save everyone. Lee Seola's tears flowed down, calling out in vain, boss. As she was about to rush forward, an arm blocked her view. We need to go this way. Seeing herself being stopped, Seola spoke loudly with a bit of anger, but the captain, the girl had not finished her sentence when he interrupted her. That was an order. Julian thought to himself that he had done everything to complete his last order. Everyone had been running for a while, but in the end he still had to make the same decision as Seo Ju-hyun did. The group of people walked for a while and suddenly stopped because of an obstacle. Someone cursed when he saw all the red eyes in front of him. Damn, that was not a few rats but a whole bunch of rats. Those rats looked scary with cloudy eyes and wide open mouths with super large sharp teeth. Julian Miller turned back and said to everyone, keep running, I will handle them myself. The people with him were worried when they saw him wanting to solo the rats. They hesitated, but did not let them worry more. He immediately reassured, I will follow right behind, so go. Standing alone in front of that huge, strange group of rats, normal people would definitely feel a little scared, and Miller was no exception. But he only dared to feel scared secretly in his heart. Actually, he had no confidence, but only doing so could make him feel secure. The war between him and the rats began. Of course he alone could not fight those rats. He remembered that he died in that room. Those disgusting rats had torn his body apart. Breaking free from the illusion, Julian crawled up, groaning in pain. A voice said, do you remember? As soon as he heard that voice, Julian Miller was stunned, his whole body stiffened. This voice. He raised his head, looked at the person in front of him and asked in a rush. Seo Ju-hyun, what happened? Did we escape the tomb safely? Ju-hyun calmly replied. It's a long story. Suddenly from behind came the voice of a middle-aged man. What is going on? This voice completely scared Julian Miller. His eyes suddenly widened. That person was Quan Tae-jun. He seemed annoyed and asked his secretary. What spell did he use to make him remember like that? The assistant was also confused. I'm not sure either. The answer he received was not as expected. Quan Tae-jun angrily ordered. Then go find him. It seemed like the blonde man had realized who the owner of the voice behind him was. This voice. His face was filled with anger, mixed with a hint of hatred. He gritted his teeth and said each word, Chairman Quan. Julian Miller slowly walked towards the chairman. As he walked, his entire body emitted a powerful energy, causing the people around him to be shocked by that energy. Seeing that the situation was not going well, Seo Ju-hyun quickly mediated. Hey, calm down, these bastards are all dead. Although he was verbally protesting, Seo Ju-hyun was secretly happy inside. Humph, a human who couldn't even kill a bug could release such deadly energy. It seemed like he had regained his memories. Yu Jae-ha standing beside him couldn't help but speak up. Hey, what's wrong with you all of a sudden? But Julian just coldly threatened, get out of the way or you'll turn into ashes. He walked away with anger that seemed to have reached its peak, his whole body still filled with that terrifying energy. I have something to settle with Chairman Quan. Seeing Julian Miller as if he had come back from the dead stronger, the chairman seemed a little scared. He stood behind the tall bodyguards and said to the outside, what are you doing, Julian? You said we would cooperate, but now you intend to betray us? Miller gritted his teeth, his eyes sharp and cold. Then he shouted, you betrayed me first, followed by a momentum attack. He only needed to launch one move to make those tall bodyguards fall down, screaming in pain. The chairman's assistant noticed the urgency of the situation and suddenly understood a problem. If he saw a person suddenly transform into another person, he probably wouldn't know that Seo Ju-hyun was controlling him. The assistant hadn't even finished saying the two words when he was already hit by Julian's combo attack. Chairman Quan didn't know what to do, he could only open his mouth and curse, you bastard. Come here, I will show you, he is not afraid of heaven or earth to challenge that angry person. In the distance, Seo Ju-hyun put his hands in his pockets, leisurely and happily watching those people fight. Wow, they are having fun. I knew this would happen. Boss, suddenly a voice rang out from the beginning. Yu Jae-ha walked over, holding many weapons of all kinds in his hands. Seeing Jae-ha excitedly in front of him, Seo Ju-hyun lightly scolded him, if he had the chance to run, he should have run faster, what are you holding? Yu Jae-ha happily replied, a lot of weapons, I got them all, oh, that worked, Ju-hyun praised. Now step back for a moment, Seo Ju-hyun reminded. Jae-ha was confused and asked him back, what are you going to do? Seo Ju-hyun slammed his fist on the ground, I just meant to break the ground. Take this opportunity to take them all down, he said smugly. Yu Jae-ha was worried about his teammates, but what about Julian? But then Ju-hyun firmly affirmed that he would find a way out and help them up. At this moment, the ground started to move due to Seo Ju-hyun's influence. Julian couldn't help but be confused. What's going on? The ground seemed about to crack. And then it split in two, causing both the chairman and the guy with glasses to fall into the hole. The chairman immediately screamed, Seo Ju-hyun, you bastard. Ju-hyun sat above, looking down, looking very satisfied, wow, this is so refreshing. Okay, now let's go. He started to plan with Jae-ha, Seola and Irene should have escaped already, we should go to the chanting room when we meet again. Suddenly Xiao Ju-hyun stopped talking and stared at something. Ha! Wait, that sword, Yu Jae-ha was still confused, huh, what is it? Ju-hyun picked up the sword, examined it carefully, and asked, isn't this Liu Bei's relic? The system now displayed an explanation, Zhou Dynasty Emperor, Liu Bei's sword is 5th rank, hero rank, antique has attributes. Seo Ju-hyun was very excited now, stroking the sword and constantly asking, why is it here? On Yu Jae-ha's side, he still couldn't figure out what the other person was saying, he was confused, Liu Bei from the Three Kingdoms? Speaking of this topic, Yu Jae-ha immediately expressed his opinion about his teammate, alright boss, about Julian, it seems he doesn't understand the Three Kingdoms. Could it be that the artifact is keeping Julian at bay, especially if it's Liu Bei? Jae-ha seemed to be wondering. Hearing that, Seo Ju-hyun burst out laughing, you're right, that's right. Holding the sword in his hand, Seo Ju-hyun happily said that this artifact had come to the right place. Because some of my subordinates already had Zhuge Liang's artifact. Suddenly the sword moved on its own, it seemed to say, what, who are you to dare to bother me without permission? Then the sword itself flew out of Ju-hyun's palm, only a qualified person can be my master. Looking at the sword that was emitting a green light, floating in the air, Seo Ju-hyun immediately compromised with it, telling me what your request is. The sword immediately responded with the request to become its master, an emperor, or at least someone with such qualities. That was superiority, the divine sword demanded. But before it could cause trouble for the person opposite, it was already in a panic. It looked at Seo Ju-hyun in front of it, his entire body was radiating an extremely powerful energy. The sword did not believe it, continuously denying it, how could it be superior to others, that was only the first condition. But Ju-hyun had great confidence in himself, I am confident in my own excellence. The sword saw that it could not be difficult, so it quickly put forth a second condition, but there was still a second condition, just caring about excellence was not enough. Seeing the sword's request, Yu Jae-ha whispered into Ju-hyun's ear, isn't that very dangerous? Ju-hyun didn't understand what he meant, and asked innocently, what do you mean? The divine sword looked at Seo Ju-hyun's handsome face, and he couldn't believe it. What the hell, his leadership ability is also outstanding, you have the potential to become an emperor. Hearing the sword's comments for a while, Yu Jae-ha was extremely angry, fake sword, you really don't know how to judge people. Seeing that, Isao Juhian got a little angry and said to Yu Jaeha, "Are you going to bother us again?" The sword, after carefully examining it, walked over by itself and neatly placed itself in Isao Juhian's palm. It said, "Alright, it seems you are worthy, I will lend you my power." Holding the sword in his hand, he said to it, "If you were more reasonable, wouldn't it be easier to accept me?" The sword immediately became angry. "I can't do that." He thought to himself, "Great, I can easily obtain Liu Bei's relic. It's good stuff and takes work to get. But it's worth it to keep your power." Juhian and everyone else entered a large room. Everyone couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, this room was so big. But that's not all, is it? It looks big but there aren't many doors. They walked around the house together. Seo Juhian saw a rope. He immediately said, "The door ends here." On this ceiling, Yu Jaeha immediately responded, "Oh right. I think I saw another string nearby." Yu Jaeha turned his face back to look at a string that was glowing. The string was shaking slightly, me. Everyone looked up at the ceiling where the rope appeared. Juhian suggested, "We'll probably have to go up using the rope. I'll go first, we also need to be careful of the traps up there." 4 people looked up at the rope. The rope suddenly got longer. Everyone was excited, oh, the rope was getting lower. Seo Juhian took the rope, looking satisfied, okay, it seems certain, but before climbing up, Jaeha wondered. Seo Juhian continued, "I have to create a barrier to prevent intruders from entering. There are many traps in the room, but to be sure those bastards." Yu Jaeha wondered, did they all fall into the tomb? Seo Juhian answered him, but maybe they didn't fall all the way down, meaning Chairman Quan and his secretary. Juhian stood still in one place. Suddenly, a man wearing glasses rushed out from nowhere and attacked Juhian head-on. Yu Jaeha was stunned. Julian Miller appeared from somewhere, his face was dark, there was still some energy left in his hand. Julian Miller snapped angrily, "So Juhian, you bastard. You didn't even help me after pushing me down." Despite the person in front of him being so angry that he wanted to explode, Juhian calmly said, "Who told you to rush up and fall down with them?" Julian's voice of complaint still didn't stop, "He exposed him, he even stole my artifact." Yu Jaeha was about to go crazy, he helplessly asked his brother, "Did you steal from him, when?" Seo Juhian's face paled a little when he was caught red-handed like this, "You bastard, you noticed quickly." Juhian then opened a bottle of exquisitely designed wine, "I just picked it up when he dropped it when he had a headache." Miller continued to yell and scold, if he found it, he should have returned it. At this moment the guy with glasses suddenly became serious, "And what did you do to me? I'm sure it wasn't an illusion, but what was it?" Faced with that question, Seo Juhian was not shaken at all, he answered bluntly, "I said it was a very long story, like you said it was not an illusion. It was something that happened in reality." Receiving the answer, Julian was immediately confused, "How could that be? That means I am." At this time Seo Juhian gently said, "Everything ended badly, you were even thrown away, then I was the same. I don't know if it's time travel or reincarnation, but the important thing is that we're living in the past but still retain the memories of that time," Seo Juhian said. Seo Juhian looked determined and seemed quite excited, "This is a good opportunity. Speaking of which, I will definitely not let something like this happen again, and I need your help," he suggested to the person opposite. Julian Miller's eyes were thoughtful, he called the name of the person in front of him, Seo Juhian. Then he took out the bottle and said in one breath, "Then I'll take this bottle." Juhian smiled lightly, "Haven't I told you yet? What's yours is mine, what's mine, of course is also mine." The blonde boy was annoyed, "Stop fooling around, give it back." Seo Juhian also refused to give up and argued back. "Why are you like this? I even think you're crazy." Seo Juhian suddenly turned cold, "If you still insist then I will have to use my last resort. If I use it you will never win." New to my collection, Liu Bei's sword, Seo Juhian pulled out a shining sword, successfully scaring the person in front of him. Looking at the sword in his hand, Julian realized in horror. Wait, this isn't the closest strategy, Zhuge Liang, no way. He felt like his whole body was on fire. Emperor, that was the embodiment of Emperor, the person inside was an Emperor, not calm at all. Julian frowned and groaned. Then he knelt down on the floor. Bowing down to Juhian's feet, respectfully bowing to you, Your Majesty. Seo Juhian was very pleased, haha very good, it seems like this is effective. Julian Miller doesn't care at all, Seo Juhian you bastard, my Emperor. Seo Juhian continued to order, listen carefully, I got it, you join the archaeology group and will be my subordinate. Because you are my subordinate and you have to obey me, but that's nothing new right? We even signed a contract. He pressed the sword against the neck of the person kneeling before him. Julian Miller trembled, slave contract, is that what you call a contract? You made me stamp it. Seo Juhian spread out a new contract in front of him. A slave contract is of course unfair. Knowing that I have prepared a revised version, here, read it carefully. Juhian was happy and pleased, but Jaeha still seemed to have some doubts. But why? Holding the contract in his hand, Julian wished he could tear it up. Hey Seo Juhian! Throw that contract away! Julian shouted. It's the same, except the salary is 0. Juhian was still calm. With Liu Bei's relic, you're in my hands, right? Who would sign these contracts? Julian was annoyed. Oh my, come out here Liu Bei, Seo Juhian suddenly threatened. Oh my god, really, Mr. Miller is really scared. The ground shifted again. A hand appeared. Mr. Quan crawled up. Below him was the angry chairman Quan. Wait until I catch you, Seo Juhian and Julian Miller, I will kill you. His secretary was like a ghost. Chairman, are you okay? The president is sure that with my physical strength, I am completely healthy. Now find a way to escape from here. The assistant breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that the chairman was fine. It was good that he was fine. But the condition of everyone, he hesitantly said when he saw everyone lying on the ground. Suddenly Mr. Quan shouted loudly, useless guy. Gather everyone who can move, he shouted. The secretary can only obey, understood. Chairman Quan was annoyed. Of course, nothing went my way. As expected, Chairman Quan gathered his remaining subordinates and moved immediately. What an inhuman old man. His subordinates, they went very quickly and arrived in front of the office where Julian found me, but I had already set a trap in the room. Those people kept walking and saw ropes hanging from their heads. They were happy. Look, Chairman, there are so many ropes. One wondered, was it a trap? Another reassured, but there was nothing scary about it. They also found a lot of antiques around there. Look, there are so many antiques here, we won the lottery. Is this the room where the antiques are kept? Those subordinates were excited, they took them all. Chairman Quan stroked his chin smugly. Haha, look, there must be something worth making up for all that trouble. His secretary was also very happy. I don't know how much it's all worth, Chairman. One of the subordinates picked up something. What is this? Something I lost. Seeing his subordinates whispering, he reminded them, what are you guys talking about? These are all the things we lost when they fell down, the subordinate explained. Another person wondered, why are there, so many similar things here? The chairman seemed to have realized something. He shouted, damn it, it's fake, leave it now. The secretary panicked, fake. Boom, a huge explosion happened before his eyes. The president and his secretary had to try to stand firm or else they would be thrown out by that explosion. After the huge explosion, Quan Taejun's subordinates were lying on the ground. He asked, how was the damage? Yoon Si-woo replied, I think it was quite big. Damn, I suspected it. Suddenly a laugh rang out. You idiots, I prepared a trap because I knew you guys would come here. He quickly recognized that it was Seo Juhian's voice. The soldier guessed, I think it came from above. Taejun thought, maybe he climbed up using those ropes, so he loudly ordered, those who weren't injured should climb up there and see right away. They heard that and immediately got up. His voice was very close, definitely not far away. They climbed up one by one, when they almost reached the highest place. All the ropes broke at once, even though they could only bear the weight of that many people just now. Because of that, those guys fell flat on the ground. Quan Taejun lost his patience and shouted, get out, Seo Juhian. At this moment, the Egyptian coffin behind him stood up, and Juhian's voice came from inside. Wow, he's really noisy. Juhian slowly stepped out of the coffin. It happened without you looking carefully. His eyebrows furrowed, so you're hiding there, Seo Juhian, you bastard. Juhian ignored his anger and confidently explained that the voice he heard was just a recording. Quan Taejun shouted, you bastard. Take that as a compliment, thanks for the compliment, can we get this sorted out now? He gritted his teeth and said, Seo Juhian, it seems you misunderstood. You think you can beat me just because I don't have anyone. My strength is enough to easily defeat you. The killing intent radiating from Quan Taejun grew heavier. But Juhian wasn't mentally ill, he calmly replied, of course, who doesn't know how strong he is? I only act like this when I have a plan. Come out here, golden coffin. The coffin immediately appeared. Quan Taejun heard that and laughed disdainfully, golden coffin, it seems like you picked up something useful somewhere. But who knows if it will betray you? But this is just a trap, that coffin is not an antique. Juhian chanted the spell, yes, sir, please come in. Rest in peace, the coffin's pupils immediately lit up. Without waiting for Quan Taejun to understand the problem, his entire body was sucked into the golden coffin in an instant. Leaving the secretary still stunned, what's going on? The chairman has disappeared. Yoon Si-woo pointed at him and questioned, hey, where did you hide the chairman? Ju Hyun just exclaimed at how effective it was. Hide where? What do you mean? Listen carefully. Yoon Si-woo was silent for a moment, then heard a noise coming from inside the coffin. He listened and immediately realized something. Mr. President, are you in there? Quan Tae-jun inside couldn't open the coffin lid. Yoon Si-woo was worried. President, Haeseo Ju Hyun, what did you do? Ju Hyun just explained, it's a trap in this tomb, only to hold the king. I've been in too, it feels so exciting. It would be a waste if I were the only one to experience it, so I brought it here. Yoon Si-woo thought, this guy is really crazy, as long as others are suffering, he will do anything. Ju Hyun still had a joking expression, thinking positively. Wasn't the artifact in there already recognizing him as king? But the secretary knew it would be of some use if he was stuck in the coffin. He just answered vaguely. Yes, that's the problem. Just take your time and save him. Ju Hyun turned and walked away. Yoon Si-woo shouted from behind. Stop, save him before you leave. Standing there, just finished speaking, there was a sword pointed straight at his neck. Ju Hyun threatened. Don't you know you can't beat me alone? Stop bothering me and mind that coffin. Yoon Si-woo muttered bitterly. Just you wait, Seo Ju Hyun. He just gave him a provocative smile. Waiting for what? I'm not scared. Ju Hyun laughed. He thought to himself. Those bastards can't bother me for a while now. The members of the expedition team are all crazy and Chairman Quan Tae-jun is stuck in a coffin. Now it was time to meet the tomb keeper again. We opened the large door leading to the relic room. The room could be filled with treasure and I could complete the quest. However, something the group did not expect happened. When the huge door opened, what they saw was not the glittering light of gold and silver, but instead a sandstorm, a desert. The group still couldn't believe their eyes. Ju Hyun rubbed his chin doubting himself, was my memory wrong? I was sure there was a room here but Julian remembered it too. Seola wonders, can the future be changed? Ju Hyun also doesn't know, who knows? We have to go inside and see. The five of them entered, the heat of the desert quickly causing them to sweat profusely. Suddenly, Julian and Ju Hyun turned around. They were shocked to see the door slowly closing. It was so narrow that even a person could hardly fit through. By the time Julian reached out to touch it, it had completely evaporated. He wondered, was this a trap? But Ju Hyun replied, maybe not. I can feel the presence of an ancient artifact. It can't be an ordinary room. Yoo Jae-ha's side was in a mess. What should we do? We'll burn and die. Ju Hyun replied calmly. We'll find something before we die. Even though he said that, Ju Hyun couldn't help but worry because this was an unexpected situation. In the completely empty desert, he couldn't even see the holy relic or a way out. After walking for a while, Ju Hyun pointed forward, let's rest under that tree. Yoo Jae-ha looked at it doubting life, that's a tree, it doesn't even have shade. This was better than nothing. Ju Hyun was drenched in sweat and could only say yes. Suddenly Ju Hyun's pupils contracted, as if sensing some omen. A sandstorm suddenly came towards them. He asked Julian to protect the children and run because Seola and Irene were already weak from the curse. Julian asked, it seemed like there was a lot going on, could he protect them alone? Okay, this way seemed better. Julian turned to them and asked, you three follow me. Yoo Jae-ha suddenly asked back, just the three of us? Seola wondered, her face filled with worry, what about boss? We can't leave him alone. Julian calmed down, he helped her understand the problem. Think about it, do you think you can fight that body? And I'm sure he won't accept that help from you, even if you ask him. It seems like he's hurt by something in the past. We will handle ourselves and avoid contact with the surroundings, let's take another chance. At this moment, from the sand emerged countless black cobras. Ju Hyun looked at the snakes and whispered, snakes are the thing he hates the most. But that doesn't mean I won't hit them. More than that, I will take them down. Come on kids. The huge black snake cursed, get lost, you thief, you are not qualified to carry out the mission. He raised his head and looked at the snake and asked again, what did you say, is there another mission, after you all left like this? The black snake raised its head and laughed loudly in contempt. Of course not, but you won't get any valuable artifacts. It looked straight at him, his expression was extremely serious, it thought to itself. The warden has already blacklisted you, you are not allowed to enter the tomb and are not allowed to carry out the mission. After thinking, the snake started to scream loudly, now kill him. The snake heads gaped, revealing hideous teeth, and fiercely lunged at him while he stood still. They screamed at each other, killing the bastard and taking back the power of the sun god that had been absorbed into the crowbar. His whole body began to appear covered with green smoke. The snake realized, it opened its eyes wide in surprise, wondering, what was that overwhelming power? He strongly swung his cold hand and cut the snake in half, blood splattered everywhere. He gently opened his mouth. You guys won't tell me the mission, right? He smiled triumphantly and continued, then I will make you tell me. He lifted his feet and jumped off the ground. He slashed the snake fiercely, causing it to scream in pain and blood to splatter everywhere. The move sends a straight line straight down at the scorpion. A scream rang out. Master, danger, very dangerous, he suddenly realized, eyes glancing to the left. The giant snake opened its huge mouth and rushed forward, preparing to swallow him. Where did the golden light come from and the loud scream come from? What do you think you're doing? Where did the rope come from to tighten the snake's neck? Seo Juhian stood on the scorpion's back and praised it with satisfaction. Well done, rope. The rope was praised and smiled happily, thinking to itself. I was praised. I was praised. The snakes thought to themselves. Look here. Seo Juhian's artifact, attacking us is the same as opposing the ruler. It seems these snakes can communicate with each other through thought. It thought on. No problem. No problem. But suddenly it felt something was wrong and looked at the rope in panic and wondered. What? He smiled half-heartedly, raised his sword and said to them, I have fought with your master before. Do you think all the artifacts must obey the words of the administrator, if you still want to use tricks? He ran up and charged towards the snakes with his sword in hand. He continued. Instead of your master, I will deal with these damn snakes myself. He cut a snake's body. He thought. The poisonous snakes and scorpions were only scared for a moment. The problem was that killing them was never ending. More and more pieces of meat flew out. After finishing off the animals that kept crawling out of the sand, the artifact's stamina began to run out. The sword began to turn black. It used its mind to connect with its master and spoke to him. Master, I have tried my best. If I try any harder, the blade will break. After hearing this, he looked at it in surprise and said. What? This will be troublesome. A series of giant snakes began to laugh triumphantly, surrounding him and saying threatening words. Stop and surrender. We will continue to attack you even if your weapon is lost. He was not afraid at all. He just sneered and pulled out another sword, continuing. Just try it. I have plenty more. I will use ancient artifacts that I have never touched before. You will make excellent test subjects. His words made the snake startled a little. It grimaced fiercely. It roared angrily. You bastard. He quickly jumped up high, preparing to slash at them. He took the knife and stabbed it straight into the ground, causing blood to spurt out. The snake was in so much pain that it opened its mouth wide, as if it took one bite of him, he would be completely inside its stomach. Its eyes opened wide and it cried out, ah. Ah, look, it's drying up very fast. The snake is slowly fading away. I'm still on top of it stabbing the knife and despite the snake struggling and screaming in pain. He still hasn't given up. He asked with a smile. Have you heard the story of the 10 servants? They were all famous eunuchs in ancient China. The knife stabbed into the snake and emitted a strange green light. He continued to explain. This is their relic. I will kill you until there is not a drop of blood left. He jumped high and charged towards them. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Now who's next? Come on. The snakes saw this and panicked. He stabbed straight into them, causing them to scream in pain and shout for each other to retreat. Suddenly there was a loud shout. Stop. That person. He heard it and stopped moving. His eyes looked towards the source of the sound, wondering. The ground suddenly shifted. There was an earthquake. The human-shaped stone wall fell down. The earth's gravity becomes heavier. He smirked and glanced at him, whispering. Ha, you finally showed up. Shouldn't you have shown up sooner? The sound rang out again. You are as impolite as I have heard. You should understand that they won't give you a mission. And yet you're still so stubborn? The sound kept coming but no one appeared. He laughed heartily in response. I was very cautious with the missions before. Not anymore. Because I can destroy everything to get what I want. The other person asked in panic. What? You bastard. Let's see if you can really do that. With that, black figures with red eyes began to appear in the hazy sandwind. Go up. Legion of the Holy One, capture that guy and make him kneel. The ones that appear are probably the Holy Relic ancient Egyptian mascot. They shouted to each other, fighting for the king. Suddenly gravity pressed down on them, causing them to collapse and scream. Ah, what is this? Ujeha looked at them in confusion. Are these real people? Julian Miller answered the question as he heard it. They were ancient cavalrymen, just disguised as humans. Then they were surprised, confused. They passed us by. Siola said with a tense expression. They are going to the boss. There are too many of them. Will the boss be okay? He folded his arms and opened his mouth. Fuck it. The ancient cavalry turned back. These guys keep coming. They surround you. You taunt. Look at you guys gathering. Teasing is just teasing. But the truth is, the situation is really worrying. He sweated profusely. Thinking and calculating. This is not good. This is not something an ancient artifact can control on its own. He looked at the things above that were emitting pink energy and thought. On top of that palace, those ancient artifacts must have gathered power. They are all Pharaoh's relics. This is the burial place of Pharaoh, the King's Valley. His face darkened. He spoke. I admit your army is large. We will have to fight. Come out. Pat. With that, he smiled wickedly. A beam of light suddenly appeared from his body, with lightning bolts shooting out. The notice board appeared. The god of war, fierce, ruthless, and tearless, and the fall of dynasties. The lord of dynasties had fallen. The head of dynasties had perished. He thought, what are those? They are really unnecessary. A dog's paw landed. The mysterious person spoke again. His words faltered. Clear. Then it screamed. They were Osiris, Set, and Anubis. Yes. They were the great gods. What appeared were these three adorable dogs. The ancient cavalrymen looked at each other and exchanged smug smiles. How could they attack us? That's right. Why would they attack their own kind? He smiled cheerfully and said to Osiris, Set, and Anubis, look at those idiots standing there, pets, don't waste your energy on them. His three dogs obeyed, simultaneously jumping into the air and releasing lightning bolts that stunned the ancient cavalry below. They shouted in disbelief. How could this be? You are a god, why would you do this? He looked at the situation and said indifferently, it seems like the gods are very angry. The dog stepped forward. Set looked at him, using his mind to ask, my conscience was a little troubled, will you reward me, master? He bluntly gave the conditions of the duel, 4 boxes of chicken, 1 of each kind, and a lot of pickled radish. I don't want to comment, but if you're a god, then act like one, Set, I'm so embarrassed. The scream echoed, hey, come here and kneel down, oh my god, Set, why did you do that? Unlike the noise, Juhian just stood there with his arms crossed and smiled faintly, not caring. Set looked at him seriously and said to Osiris. Osiris, try a little harder, I will let you meet the singer you often see on TV. Osiris asked in surprise, what? The boy was so excited after hearing that, all his emotions were shown on his face as he asked him again. Really? He replied, yeah, you haven't been to the fan meeting yet? It became serious and affirmed, wait for me 5 minutes, I will quickly defeat these guys, come here, oh no, seeing this scene, you can only laugh smugly, but you don't understand clearly. Anubis asked him with some grievance. Master, what about me? He looked at him and replied with a smile. You know your stamina is very weak after encountering trouble. Don't be so serious. The words made the boy's mood become sad and disappointed. He could only bow his head and say thank you. It seemed like he was about to cry. At that moment, on the other side, his dog completely overwhelmed the cavalry. He looked on and thought smugly. These guys were almost defeated. They didn't think that the gods would attack them. A green smoke surrounded him, smiling ominously. Now just keep going. Under the command and temptation of matter, the 2 gods Osiris and Set released a great source of energy to attack the king's legion soldiers. The ancient Egyptian soldiers were terrified, trying to raise their shields to block the attack. Impossible, why would the spirit beast attack us? The spirit beast Set lost his composure, angrily shouted, shut up and obey So Juhian. I need to end this battle quickly so I can eat chicken to my heart's content. Ha ha ha. The relics in the tomb were not willing to surrender so easily. Damn, those spirit beasts were crazy. They were almost obeying that damned human. Nothing is impossible. They were determined to fight to the end and shouted war and attacked. The soldiers became excited and radiated golden energy. Their eyes were shining like stars as they turned to the enemy and said to each other. That's right. Set has turned black. I can't let him be like him. He heard and got angry. What? Those insolent bastards. Master, I think I should punish them for real. Set turned to him and received his approval. Go ahead, I've been meaning to do this for a while. But the god of destruction seemed worried and asked Seo Juhian. Is that okay? If I use my power, you will no longer have superiority, because you are my master. Seo Juhian looked at it with interest and said. What's wrong? Are you worried about me? What an honor. But his spirit beast was embarrassed and loudly objected. Dream on, who's worried about who? The spirit beast started crying and said miserably. If something happens to you, who will buy me chicken? Chicken, I can't help but curse. How rude. The guy smiled confidently and said. Who do you think I am? Don't worry, just do whatever you want. Set also smiled and replied. Oh, you seem confident, huh? Then I have to use my power. As soon as he finished speaking, the god of destruction began to release a huge amount of energy. An explosion caused by the spirit beasts right in front of him caused smoke and dust to fill the sky.